Hello, 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 everyone out there. Welcome to Draft Nerds podcast. Draft Nerds Mock Draft 2.0 coming to you live on YouTube, live on X, live on Playback, and wherever you stream your content. We pretty much there, man. Coming live from StreamYard as well. Got for Ravens fans specifically. We got a special guest joining the broadcast tonight, and is my guy Coach DC, all 22 films. If you follow him on YouTube, you know that he has some of the best content out there when it comes to film breakdown. If you want to watch all 22 film and learn about each position group and what they're supposed to be doing and how he breaks down prospects and players, I think you'd be really, really impressed with his breakdowns and his footage of different films. So without further ado, Coach, welcome to the show and thank you for coming.
Hey, man, no, thank you for inviting me on today. And, I want to not just thank you, but apologize for the amount of times that you've invited me to the spaces and how infrequently I've been able to join. So
Mhm.
that was the reason I messaged you today and said, hey, if you ever want to do a draft thing, I'd be willing to do that because I felt bad for not interacting a little bit more for how many times as consistent as you've invited me. Let's put it that way. So I'm,
Yeah,
so I'm glad to be here.
no, it's all good, man. I mean, at the end of the day, we all got stuff going on, right? And I'm guilty of not giving people too much of a heads up. I just kind of just send it, and so a lot of times, not everyone's available to just stop and just jump on and do stuff. So I do appreciate you taking the time out and doing this. And what we're going to do here today, y'all, is we're going to do a 7 round Ravens mock draft specific for the Ravens. We may do a first round mock as well. We'll just see how time goes. If time permits, then we will. If not, we're going to give you a 7 round Ravens mock draft. Me and Coach going back and forth. We will rotate picks. You might see some trades. But all in all, we're going to have a good time. We're going to have some fun. And we're going to, we're going to, share and do what we do when it comes to, breaking down the Ravens, breaking down the content, breaking down all there is that comes with all it is that comes with Ravens in the draft, and it's draft nerds, baby. So you know what time it is. If you again are following us on YouTube or on X, thank you because we appreciate it. Again, we really really appreciate the support that you guys give us, and we look forward to tonight, and we're gonna have a good time, and hopefully you guys can chime in and share your input on some of the picks and things like that. So that'd be cool. Um, if you guys will allow me 1 second, I need to set something up here on my screen, and I want to make sure you guys can see what I can see or can't see what I can see. And so I need to put the full screen on. Give me 1 second. Okay. All right, I'm back. So it says, someone says, is it including a Mark Andrews trade? That's my guy, CRJ. You may see one. You may see a Mark Andrews trade. So before we get started, really quick, Coach, what did you think about the presser? What EDC said? What was your takeaways? Um, what was your takeaways from the discussion?
Well, not specific to Eric DaCosta, but the one of the links that I saw on Twitter X and that someone shared in my Discord was that I thought was most pertinent was Harbaugh's comments about the offensive line. I felt like I felt like slapping the table, where I was sitting when he said something about evaluating the offensive line. It was, we all were happy to get Derrick Henry last year. Various reactions to that signing,
Mm-hmm.
but we knew that it was going to have an impact regardless of how deep we thought that impact would be. But people weren't wrong, a year ago after the draft to say, "Hey, wait a minute, did we do enough to address the offensive line?" And sure enough, I think some of those chickens came home to roost a little bit. If you look at the first half of the Buffalo game, very disappointing for our offensive line on at least two of those possessions, if you ask me, outside of talking about the turnovers. And so for me, the biggest part was hearing Harbaugh comment on that in a direct manner that sounded like he was admitting offensive line has to be a focus. And of course, he was kind of like Baghdad Bob during the regular season last year when
Mm-hmm.
people would ask about Falele or McCary. His evaluations and discussions of them was, I thought totally different from reality at times.
Mm-hmm.
And for me, that was the biggest part. It wasn't about the Andrews comments or the Justin Tucker situation at all. For me, football focused, that was it. But I do recognize, obviously, that hey, if we can move Mark Andrews and move up 10 or 15 or 20 spots with our second or third round pick to get a specific player that we think could help, I couldn't fault our front office for exploring that option. I mean, that's just reality. That's the way the game is. That's the way the game is in a salary cap league.
Can everybody out in who watching on Twitter or on YouTube, can you guys hear us or can you hear me? Because I did see something when someone said they couldn't hear me. Can you guys hear me through Twitter or through YouTube? Just want to make sure real quick. Hold on, I'm gonna mute the playback. Can you guys hear me now? What about now? If you're streaming on Twitter or YouTube, can you hear me? I want to make sure that we are full go before we start the mock. I don't want to start the mock and then we get halfway through and found out no one can hear me. So if you would be kind, if you're on Twitter or YouTube, can you send a comment letting me know, A, we can hear you, or B, we cannot hear you? Miss Gina says both. So Miss Gina, you can hear me on Twitter and YouTube. You would have to send it through the message. I can't hear you, so you would have to send it through the chat. If you could hear me on both, then that'd be great. I see CRJ had put something on Twitter through the chat saying, is it including Mark Andrews' trade? But I don't know if he could hear me. Just want to make sure. I just don't want to get too deep into this thing and then come to find out no one could hear me the whole entire time. Please send a comment verifying that you can hear me. Because if I don't get a response, I'm assuming you can't hear me. And then
Yeah, if you guys can't hear him, let us know in the comment section so that way he can adjust or try to problem solve.
yeah,
Hopefully they can hear me.
yeah, they
They
can
can't
hear
hear
you.
you.
Yeah, they can hear you with no problem. I even clicked on Twitter just to see if I could hear you. I could hear you pretty well. I
Gotcha.
just don't know if they can hear me. Okay, Sean says the sound coming through here. So Sean, you can hear me. I can't hear anybody on playback. So if anyone's talking to me, I can't hear you. I can only read your comments because I turned off the sound, so I didn't want it to interfere. Okay, so Sean says it's coming through on here on YouTube. Perfect. On Twitter, I'm assuming you guys can hear me. Ms. Gina did write both, so I'm assuming y'all can hear me. Playback can hear me as well. So with that being said, let's continue. If you can't hear me, just let us know if you cannot hear me or not. Okay, Miss Gina says, I can hear all 22, but not Matt. Not now. Once he muted playback, I could hear Matt before he muted. Okay, so she was only hearing me through playback. That is weird. Okay, give me 1 second, y'all. I'm going to problem solve, and we'll be underway. 1 second. Okay, what about now? Can everyone hear me now? Can everyone hear me now? Coach, you can hear me fine, right?
I hear you, man. If you guys can or cannot hear Matt, please let him know on whatever platform you're checking out on, so he can confirm that his
Because I'm
troubleshooting worked.
absolutely because let them know I'm getting conflictions. I'm hearing, I'm getting, I can hear you, and then I'm getting, I can't hear you. So I don't need to know. Miss Jean is still saying I cannot hear Matt. So,
Huh.
all right. Oh, Sean says you're good on YouTube. Playback sound isn't coming through. That's interesting. Hold on 1 second.
Well, troubleshooting or problem solving is just an opportunity to improve things for the future. So
Exactly.
it's a
What about
positive.
now? Can playback hear me now? Can everybody hear me through playback now? Can I be heard on playback?
What's playback, if you don't mind me asking?
Oh, so playback is a lot like Twitter Spaces,
Yep.
where we can go in and we can discuss. We can go in and discuss. We can go in and discuss. We can go in and discuss like the same thing we do in Spaces, but
Yep.
basically what we do is it's the exact same thing, but you got video, obviously, right? So you can, so let's say you wanted to tell me about a player, you could actually post a player on playback,
Yeah.
the video, and show us so we can see it at the same
So is
time.
it like a Discord voice chat kind of?
Yeah, kind of, yeah, yep.
Yeah. We
With
do the same
video,
thing in my Discord. Like, it's random. It's not scheduled, but we'll show film and people watch it and
yeah.
can comment on it. And we try to do that during the season with the Ravens, but it doesn't always work because I'm always, just working on film selfishly. So I can't really spend time doing that too much.
Yeah, absolutely. So like playbacks is really good for again talking sports, but then being able to give people a visual representation of what you're talking about. So a lot of time when we're on Twitter or X, we're talking about something and we're saying I gotta paint you a picture verbally, or you gotta go check it out on your own time. Whereas though in this situation with playback, I can just share my screen and show you. We can watch the
Yeah,
film together.
it complements the discussion. Yeah, absolutely.
Absolutely,
And a
absolutely.
lot of times people, I was this way myself at one point. There's people who don't necessarily understand what a person is referring to. So
Hmm.
the visuals help them, if whether it's the play or some people prefer overhead diagrams rather than the actual gameplay, which is interesting, because
Right.
people's brains all work differently. So yeah, that sounds cool.
Absolutely. All right, so y'all, we ready for takeoff. Playbacks is saying now that they can hear us good. YouTube is checking out okay, and X is also working. So we ready to rock and roll. So all right, real quick, on 22 coach, you was telling us that your takeaways from the presser from the Ravens, Eric DaCosta, general manager. You was telling us about your takeaways
Yeah,
from what he said. Now, coming away from that, do you feel like Ronnie Stanley is coming back?
it's certain. I mean, we certainly have some indications that he is just from listening to things on Twitter and or uh, what was it? Was it Ogden or something like that? There was
Jonathan
a
Ogden. Yeah,
little
when he
clip or something out there.
yeah,
I try to listen to those things while I'm working
hmm
on another screen. I think I told you I run a tutoring service, so I for those portions when I'm working with students, obviously I can't listen to anything Ravens related, but in between appointments, I'll click on something real quick to get a fix. And I think the offensive line is my focus, so that portion of what Harbaugh said stuck out to me. And we're in such a unique situation at 27 too. I mean, there's going to be I think we're picking at 27
hmm
regardless, but I hope that in other places on the board with so many surplus picks uh that we may look to move up a little bit. We don't have to move up 20 spaces,
right.
from 59 or 91, but if there's a guy sitting there at 45 or 55, and we just lazily sit there and wait for best player available at 59, I do have some complaints with that. I do.
Yeah, yeah, I agree. I agree. I think that's been the conservative approach from the Ravens, the last few years. And Eric DeCosta is on record saying that we're not a trade up type of team. That's not what we do. But I think they should
Yeah,
be, right, because you are in your Super Bowl window. Your team is as good as any other team in the league, including the two teams that we saw in the Super Bowl. And with that being said, to
absolutely.
me, you need quality. This team doesn't need quantity. When I watch the Ravens, I don't see 23 available roster spots. But what I do see is that I see a team that needs more quality players at different positions than they need quantity. Right? They need difference makers. They need elite guys that can come in and help out right now because they're on a Super Bowl window. I remember the first Super Bowl, even 2012. A lot of our draft picks didn't even contribute. They barely even played because the team was
Right.
loaded with talent, veterans, and guys that were already entrenched in positions. And you're basically drafting for depth and special teams, right? So I look at this team right now. This team does not need 11 new starters. What this team does need is an elite pass rusher. What this team does need is another safety that can allow Kyle Hamilton to play the star position. This team does need another wide receiver, elite guy that can play on the outside, X type of receiver, or a burner that can stretch the field and be a complement to Bateman and Zay Flowers. And maybe an upgrade a little bit at the guard position if you're into that. I for one am confident in the interior of our offensive line. I think Linderbaum is a stud. I think Voorhees. I still think the world of Voorhees. The dude was supposed to be a third round pick. He fell to the Ravens because of injuries, and I still view him as such. People don't realize his rookie year, the year we drafted him, he received a waiver from the NFL that it basically gave him a pass on that year, and he basically got that year back. So last year essentially was his rookie year. So this year is only his second season. Dude, the Ravens still have 3 years left of Voorhees, which I think he will be entrenched as a starting left guard. I was really impressed with Lele down the stretch. Wasn't impressed with him in the beginning, but I thought he got progressively better as the season went on. So I was I'm satisfied with what I've seen, and yeah, man, I do think that this team needs quality. They really do need quality players to complement the players they already have. But they already got studs all over this team. And so, with that being said, Coach, what do you think the Ravens should do with Mark? Based on the comments Eric DeCosta made, do you think he's traded? And if so, what's fair? What would you say is fair compensation for Mark Andrews?
We were just kind of discussing that in the Discord a little bit. Sometimes our Ravens Discord is going to be a little too active because so many conversations are happening at once. It's text based, obviously, so
Right.
people can kind of converse in the different channels they want. And what we came up with was we thought that it would be equivalent to somewhere between pick 75 and pick 105, somewhere in that area. I don't know, how accurate that is, but I think I kind of understated the value that we could get in return for him. I think they should explore it. I mean, that's not being disrespectful to Mark Andrews. It's a professional organization that's tasked with first of all, that gets a lot of taxpayer money, but second of all, that's tasked with and supported by a fan base that wants to win a Super Bowl. So we should be looking at all options that are realistic options. And at this point in time, Mark Andrews with 1 year left on his contract, and what I think is a better draft than people have described it as. If we have the opportunity to move up from to do a 27 and a 45 or a 27 and a 48, basically pick swap. 59 moving up with Andrews leaving town as well. I think we should look into it if it brings us back something that A, we want, and B, frees up some capital for us to deal with free agency, which obviously occurs before the draft.
100%. And as we get ready to start this draft, tell me if you agree with this. So I've always kind of felt like the best fit for Mark would be Tampa Bay. And the reason being is one is the NFC gets him away from the AFC. Ravens don't have to deal with them. But the main part is Baker Mayfield's there. He played with Baker in college. They're best friends. I believe he was Baker's best man at his wedding.
Really, I didn't know that.
Yeah,
That's
yeah,
interesting.
yeah. Baker mentioned it last season during one of his press conferences that
Hmm.
he's been calling Mark. Actually, it was leading up to our game against Tampa. He said, "Yeah, I've been calling the guy. He don't return my calls." He said, "He was the best man at my wedding. You think you know a guy." So he was kind of joking, about the relationship. But they have a great relationship. Again, college teammates, best man at his at Baker's wedding, and to me, with them losing Chris Godwin, he would serve as that middle of the field threat to complement Mike Evans. So from a play standpoint, I think Mark would fit perfect in that offense with Mike Evans and Baker Mayfield. For a relationship standpoint, because I know the Ravens are going to want to do right by Mark, you send him somewhere where he'll feel comfortable. He'll have a guy on that team that he'll have an instant connection with, just like he has with Lamar Jackson. And it's the best that you could do for him, in my opinion, is to set him up on a team that is a playoff team.
Right.
And so, to me, they check all the boxes. They're a competitive playoff team, check. They're in the NFC, check. He's got familiarity with the quarterback, check. And he can come in and be an integral part of that offense. And so I think it makes so much sense. Now, let me ask you this. Pick 83 for Mark Andrews straight up. Do you feel like that's fair compensation for Mark? Or do you think the Ravens would have, the Bucks would give up less, or we would want more? What's your take on that?
You mean, Andrews just returning for us from the Bucks, their third round pick?
Yes, correct.
Interesting. I hadn't thought of that. My
Mm-hmm.
brain goes to like a pick swap, but I mean, it sounds conceivable. I
Mm-hmm.
think I think it may be a couple things there. It probably depends on the player that's there at 83 that we want. My guess is, and I don't know how this is done. This is
Mm-hmm.
just a guess. Is the calls made before the draft
Of course.
from Baltimore to Tampa Bay
Right.
to kind of smooth that driveway, if you will. Hey,
Right.
we might have interest in 83. So Tampa Bay's got an idea that it could come up, and it's not a surprise.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it sounds conceivable to me in
Do
terms
you
of
think
value.
Mark? Yeah, I was gonna say, do you think Mark is worth the 83rd pick in the draft?
I think it's so. It's kind of yes. My instinct says yes, but
Mm-hmm.
it's kind of tough to judge because who's going to be there at 83. If we get another wide receiver run, which I know some people say shouldn't happen in this draft, I get that, but those runs happen. It
Mm-hmm.
seems like they happen at once or twice.
Mm-hmm.
Um, if we get another wide receiver run and a run on another position, D tackle, OLB, I know everybody else calls it edge, then pick 83 could really be a pick that returns you value in the 65 to 68 range. So
Agreed.
I,
And
I
then
think it
I would
depends on
say,
how it flows that night. Sorry, I think it depends on maybe how it flows those evenings, excuse me,
mhm.
of the
No,
draft.
absolutely, absolutely. To me personally, I would do it before because here's the thing. I don't think the Ravens need to know who's going to be on the board. I think what that would do is they would arm them with enough capital to be able to package with their own picks to move up to get a blue chip player that we know they talk about every year, right? He always talks about the blue chip players, the red star guys on the board that
Hmm.
they deem as difference makers. And when you're armed with pick 83, pick 91, 59, what have you, now you have the chess pieces needed to be able to move around the board in a way, in a significant way, to be able to acquire uh, elite talent, right, in this draft. That is a loaded draft. I think I like this draft. I'm like you. I do like this draft better than some. And I think that would be a feasible trade because let's be honest, Tampa Bay isn't finding anyone in the third round that's going to contribute to a playoff team what Mark Andrews would contribute, right? Like he's a guy who's going to come in and play right now. You cannot even expect that from a third round pick to come in and be elite immediately. You don't know if that'll happen or not, right? And here's the thing, it'd be so funny because we used the 3rd round pick on Mark when we drafted him. So to be able to have him for several years and then get a 3rd back, would be pretty funny. KJ says, send him to the Chargers. Greg Roman loves tight ends, and he'll know the offense. That's not a bad idea either. I would prefer, and I think the Ravens would prefer to send him to the NFC as opposed to the AFC. But I guarantee you that, the Chargers would take Mark Andrews in a heartbeat.
Yeah.
Yeah, they would take him in a heartbeat. So let's see. Before we get to the draft start, let's see 83 for Mark Andrews. And as you can see, it turned completely green, which means this trade will be accepted. We're going to offer the trade. And congratulations, Tampa Bay Buccaneers. You are now the new proud owners of Mark Andrews to line up and play the tight end position for Baker Mayfield and Mike Evans on the other outside. So you guys are ready to go. And with that being said, we are ready to go. And because I'm a gracious host, I'm going to let Coach take the first pick for the Ravens. And I'm going to start the draft. And then we'll see what's on the board, what's available. And then you just talk me through it, Coach.
Yeah, man.
All right, let's get it. Ooh, Cam Wood with number 1.
I think I'll probably operate as if, we have brought back Ronnie Stanley.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
So
I think that would be a safe bet.
me personally, my focus is offensive line. I don't think, I don't think that this team can beat the really good defenses without significant improvements at both guard positions. I don't think we're going to improve right guard. Whatever my personal opinion is, I don't think they're going to. I think they're going to stick with Daniel Falele because of the salary considerations, and it quote worked out for us this past year. I don't think it really did, but that's the Ravens' opinion. So for me, that's my focus. But if we have addressed Ronnie Stanley, then we've got a lot more.
The board is open.
Options on the table.
Absolutely. Okay, so the pick is we're on the clock now, right? And we got Ronnie Stanley in the bag. Let's say we got Ronnie Stanley in the bag. He's back. He signed a brand new extension. He is now going to be a Raven for life. Where would you like to go with this first pick?
Well, I wish that the Rams hadn't taken Walker at 26 because I would seriously consider him. He's a heck of a lot of fun to watch. Very explosive, better in coverage than people probably understand. So, is this all we got right here? Because
oh no, you just tell me the position that you would like to see, and I can pull it up for you.
Yeah, I actually like Scourton better than Stewart from a refinement standpoint. Obviously, Stewart is incredibly strong and powerful. Really, the LSU game for me is what convinced me. I watched Will Campbell and Emory Jones pretty much take Stewart apart. And Scourton gave them some trouble for me. I'm gonna tell you the guy I really like, but I'm not gonna take him here. Is Trey Harris? He's one of my favorites to watch.
Yeah. What do you like about Trey Harris?
He's long. He almost reminds me of I like basketball comparisons. He almost reminds me of a small forward in the NBA. Who can post up, who can shoot from the outside and drive to the basket. I really like Scourton, if I'm saying his name correctly.
Oh, Nick Scourton.
What other receivers is on the board?
Oh, we can go to receivers. You have Alec Ayomanor, Jack Beck, Restrepo. We got Higgins.
They got ripped. I mean, we must have had a rip already of wide receivers, right?
So let's go. We got Abuka went. Golden went. We also had, obviously, Luther Burden went.
Oh, my goodness. Yeah, Burden's amazing.
I love him, yeah. Torrey
got
McMillan and then Travis Hunter. But honestly, no one went that I didn't expect. I expect all those receivers to go before the Ravens get on the board. So that's kind of – I actually like the way this draft went because it's kind of realistic. All the guys who went totally expected it. You do still have Trey Harris down here.
Yeah, corner. I think Harris is probably going to be picked in the 45 to 55 range, somewhere around there. Maybe a little later, but I think receiver. And
Agreed.
Trey Amos is a guy I really like, but I'm not going to pick him here.
Agreed, 100%. Corners, we got Trey Amos, Siobhan Revel, Red Thomas, who I really like.
Yeah, same here.
Yeah, you got Darian Porter.
I think Thomas is better than they've got him ranked there at 57.
Yeah. Red, he's going to be a first round pick. I mean,
I really do like Porter as well. He'll go later than Thomas probably.
I think so as well.
I'm a huge fan of Scourton. Against my better judgment, I may take Scourton here based upon, is the other safety gone? Nick
Emmanuel?
Yeah. He looks like
he's still there. Emmanuel is still here.
Yeah.
Hey, and listening to him talk today, I was like, man, this kid trying to make me fall in love with him.
Yeah.
He's trying to make me fall for him, man. Like, he's got the size, he's got the athleticism, the physicality, the ball skills, and he'd be a perfect complement to Kyle Hamilton. So,
yeah.
And feels like a Raven, man. He just feels like he would be a Raven.
See, the problem here is I told myself that I wasn't going to take an edge defender in the round one when I did my mocks because I don't know that a guy like matter of fact, I don't know that hardly any of the edge defenders comes in for this Ravens team and plays 50 snaps a game, regardless of which one it is.
Right.
Especially Shamar Stewart or Nick Scourton. I don't think those guys come in and play 50 snaps a game. They may come in and play 25, 30 snaps a game, but they're not going to play. I'm super tempted to take. Is it Connerly?
The tackle.
I do like him, but let's go with Nick Scourton. And I'm not super thrilled about this pick. Membow is a guy that I really don't want to leave.
Oh my gosh, he would be an all-pro guard if we drafted him and put him at guard. But I agree with you that I don't know.
I'm not super excited about taking an edge defender here. To be honest with you, given my perspective on the offensive line, I do want to take Membow and see if we can get him to move to guard for a year or two.
Okay, so you want to take Membow?
I think he's a better player than two guys that started on the offensive line for us last year.
Okay, so would you want to take Membow?
Yeah.
All right, here we go. All right, with the 27th pick in the mock draft, DraftNerds mock draft, Ravens 7 2.0, Armand Membow from the University of Missouri. So, really quickly, break down what you like about Membow.
I forget which edge defender said it the other day. Said he was like, I think it was somebody on the podium said he was like playing somebody in chess because he just has so many moves. Mm-hmm. It reminds me of like a old school Walt. I'm old, so I can say this. He reminds me of like a Walt Frazier, just an old school basketball player that's got 10 or 12 different moves, and you don't know which one's coming. He also reminds me of Linderbaum in the sense that on outside zone or stretch schemes, he's able to go get people and reach them. Now, that does present the quandary for me with Membow, which is at the same time that he's very athletic, got great feet, and he's able to reach people out on the edge, he also loses a little bit into those engagements out on the edge, meaning he's already won, he's already reached a guy, and then he loses for whatever reason, like almost a second and a half into the engagement. It's not occurring on this play that you've got right here, but it's happened enough, like 6 times for me to say, okay, his personal strength would be like an outside zone because he's so athletic, he's so quick, and he's very intelligent, great out in space. But he's lost some reps out there too against some bigger DNs, which is is a concern of mine. But I thought he was one of the best guys that I was able to scout. Matter of fact, I like him more technically than I like Will Campbell from LSU.
100%. Love that analysis. I agree with you 100%. Membow. Now let me ask you, Membow. The Ravens. I said the Ravens do take your advice here. They draft him. Who's more in jeopardy of losing their job? Is it Falele, or is it bye? Voorhees. Is Voorhees now?
I mean, personally, it doesn't matter to me. I mean, I think the one thing that Membo would do is we're going to commit money to Ronnie Stanley, in this scenario. But let's be real. He's also missed significant time, so we're committing money. If we have a Membao and a Voorhees and a Falele on the roster, and God forbid something happens to Stanley, then we can move one of those two tackles over to left tackle, and Voorhees and Falele have played significant time. So I feel like it would give us some depth, positional depth. With more quality as well. So, I mean, I don't think either one of our guards is capable of starting against good defenses. The Chiefs, the Bills, the Eagles. I don't think either guard we put on the field can stand up against those teams in a 4-quarter football game. That's my opinion. Other people got a different opinion. No problem. That's fine. But having said that, against average to above average defensive lines, our guards could get the job done last year, clearly, because we had one of the best offenses in the league. Derrick Henry almost ran for 2,000 yards. However, we couldn't run outside zone to our right. We also couldn't run power schemes to our right all the time because we weren't no damn good over there at right tackle and down block. So we had some limitations, even though we got things done. And that's why my focus is offensive line. But, I was a little surprised with pick one there that wasn't more position player talent that was enticing for me. I had trouble there. I didn't see what I thought I would see in the mocks that I've done. But hey, I'm not going to argue with Membo. He's a guy that I think we should be looking at anyway if he's there.
Absolutely. And for everybody who's home watching, what do you think about Armand Membo being the first pick for the Ravens? I do believe if you draft that guy, he'd be a Pro Bowl guard in probably a year. Right. By year 2, he'd probably be a Pro Bowl guard. He's that good. He's really that good on his feet, athletic, can pull, can do everything. He would make this offensive line unbelievable. Now, realistically, I don't think he'll be there at 27, if we've been honest. Yeah. I think he's just that good. I don't think he'll even be there. But what was presented to us with that pick, I think that was you'd be hard-pressed not to take him. Even if you get Ronnie Stanley back, you would probably have to take him. And then even if Ronnie Stanley retires in a couple of years, Membo can absolutely play tackle. You have that versatility.
I think the fallback, the drop off, in certain positions from the first or second round to the third and fourth is huge. I don't think the drop off is as far in some of these other positions. When I have done mock drafts, I'm seeing some pretty good edge defenders. Like Braden Swinson from LSU, still on the board at like pick 80, 85, 90. Yeah. And if it's not him, it's other guys. And I don't think I think you have a larger drop off with the tackles and guards once you get down there to pick 90, where we'll be picking third. So for me, hey, if a Mike Green is there at 27, or someone like that, hey, I get it. I get it.
Yeah, if he's there, you sprint to the podium. So going to the chat, Skep says that would be hard to pass up. The versatility makes it a no-brainer. So agreed. And we're going to move on to our second pick, which will be made by me.
I forced your hand here by addressing offensive line. I forced you to go position player.
You did. When you took the offensive lineman.
Or I set it up for you.
You set it up for me. That really made things a lot easier for me. Even if there is some offensive linemen on the board that are really tempting. Guys like Donovan Jackson, who I absolutely love from Ohio State.
Same here.
Right there. Oh, my gosh. He's so underrated. He's not being talked about enough. Also love Ozzie Trapilo from Boston College. Love him as well. So it's a lot of good guys still left on the board. Wyatt Millum as well. But to me, this next pick is a no-brainer, guys. I'm just going to go ahead and put it in. With the 59th pick, the DraftNerds mock draft, all Ravens, 7th round, 2.0, all 22 films here. We will take safety, Nick Emmanwore, South Carolina. We don't get him in the first, we get him in the second. Now, obviously, in a real draft situation, I highly, highly doubt he'll be there. If you want Nick, you're gonna probably have to take him in the first. That's just probably what it is. But what do you like about Nick Emmanwore, Coach?
I do agree with
thoughts about
My bad, Matt. My bad.
Oh, you good? You good?
I do agree with you with what you said that he's probably not going to be there 50 at our second pick, but I find myself saying that about a dozen guys. So I keep correcting myself in our Discord, our Ravens Discord. I keep saying, all right, well, somebody's gonna have to be there. Some one of these dudes is gonna have to be there.
That's true.
I didn't get the chance to watch a ton of college football this year, but watching particularly the SEC film and the
Mm-hmm.
Big Ten film too, there was a lot more balance and equitable talent in some of these matchups. I have spent more time watching the end zone angle film than anything.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
Great ball skills. That one was nice.
yeah.
I spent more time than anything on the end zone angle film because I can get offensive line, defensive line, linebackers. So I'm all for improving the safety position. I hope that includes bringing back Ardarius Washington, and now we've given ourselves, tremendous talent there. Continued ability to move Marlon Humphrey around.
And Kyle Hamilton. Yep.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
obviously Kyle Hamilton. He's whatever we want him to be. No disrespect to the guy that we had outside corner last year. It's time for us to move in another direction. So I hope we do address that somewhere. I like what you've done here, though, even though it's tough to say I like trading away Mark Andrews. That by recouping another pick at 83, getting correct me if I'm wrong, is it 4 picks in the top 91 in this scenario?
That is correct. That is correct. You have 4 picks within the top 100, or like you said, the top 90.
Yeah,
So we pick here again at 83, and then again at 90. So
I really like that.
That is tremendous value, and it does allow you to take some early swings on guys with some high upside, right? Mimbo, and I'm gonna tell you right now, if the Ravens walk out of the first 2 picks with Mimbo and Manwore,
Yeah,
yeah, bro, I don't even care what they do with the rest of the draft. At that point, like
I do.
they're killing it. You know what I'm saying?
I have slight disagreements with people that focus so heavily on outside linebacker for this team
Right.
for this team for next year.
Mm-hmm.
However, I don't think those people are wrong for having those concerns. I don't think they're wrong. I just think that we have a different level of importance. And here's where I'll draw the distinction. We have depth there.
Mm-hmm.
We have significant depth. And so, like, for these first 2 picks that you and I have made, to say, all right, well, you think this is a good round for edge defenders, which I do think it is, a good draft for edge defender, excuse me, and you haven't taken one in the first 2 picks. So
Mm-hmm.
what are you doing? Well, we think that that's a position of strength for us from a depth standpoint, but contractually beyond 2025, I think Owe, Van Noy, and Ojabo are contractually done after 2025, but I could be wrong there.
No, they are. They are.
Yeah,
All of them are free agents next year.
so we do have, and now I'm gonna pull this back to last year. We did address edge defender last year. I hated the pick at 91. Yeah, I did not like the pick. I liked the player, but I didn't like the pick.
Okay, what would you have done?
Well, I some of these guys, I would say, when did you get them? And that kind of changes the evaluation of how much you like the pick. I think you can like the player,
right,
but not the
like
pick.
Pick. Right, agreed.
And for me, now again, moving forward from 2025, we're going to need some guys under contract. So we got one because they drafted him last year. We got Tavius Robinson as well, but I just didn't like where we picked him. I thought there was other guys on the board. Specifically, I loved Christian Mahogany, who didn't go till the 6th round because apparently he's got one leg longer than the other or something like that. So, he's got some long-term issues. So nobody else in the NFL drafted him until the 6th round. Oh, by the way, when he did play for the Lions this past year, he played quite well when Kevin Zeitler was hurt. So I wanted us to address offensive line last year on interior. So in terms of outside linebacker not being addressed in our first 2 picks here, I think it's justified from a depth standpoint. Hopefully I said that in a way that makes sense, even though it took a while. My bad.
No, absolutely. No, listen, the way you explain things is awesome, and it makes 100% sense. and I'm sure the viewers that are watching us, I agree with that. And I said that earlier in the space. I was talking about James Pierce Jr. I told him I like the player. I really do. I don't dislike James Pierce, but I don't like where he's projected to go. And I think if he goes
Right.
top 15, like I think the guy told me he'd take him at 12, I think you'd be making a mistake there. I like him, I do, but I think he belongs at a certain threshold in the draft. And if he gets picked higher, you may be disappointed.
That's a good thing
Yeah,
for you to be able to explain it that way. I mean, because and we have to admit this as football fans, regardless of who our favorite team is.
right.
There's been a complete overreaction to the Eagles winning the Super Bowl the way they did. Now, I'm not saying that there's not a sliver or a 40 or 60% truth to these reactions. We need dominant edge defenders. We need this. We need this. We need this. It's not all about just the formula that another team just used. For us to beat the Chiefs and then beat the Eagles this year in the Super Bowl, we wouldn't have used the same formula that those two teams used against each other. We're a different team. We've got different players. We've got the two best guys in the league in the backfield between Lamar and Derrick Henry. So the formula would have been different. But so the overreaction, I think, in some ways may push a guy like Pierce 8, 10, 12 picks earlier from a projection standpoint than people like yourself hold him in. Me personally, I haven't studied Pierce film. I've watched it, but I haven't studied it enough to agree or disagree with what you're saying.
Agreed. 100. Okay, I love it. So, question, real quick because you mentioned them previously. Are you in or out on Ojabo?
I mean, he certainly hasn't produced enough for us to say that we should just blindly give him more opportunities.
Right.
He's going to have to earn it, and I think Tavius Robinson, with the way he played against the Steelers, I think he had 2 sacks against the Steelers in Week 11. I believe he played quite well in 2 regular season games late in the year, and then he was a monster against the Bills. Tavius Robinson was played badass.
He was disruptive, absolutely.
So I think some of that's got to translate to some pass rush stuff. I wonder if he just doesn't have the same type of fast twitch or quick movements to be an effective, impactful pass rusher like he can against the run. It's just different skill set. It is a different skill set at times. But he's long. So Tavius Robinson looks like he's passed David Ojabo by. In terms of our depth chart and what we can expect from him and trust from him. So Ojabo, were we to draft a Braden Swinson, if he's here at 83 or 91, because I'm getting ready to look at edge defenders now. You can go ahead and click on it.
It's time. It's time.
Yeah. Corner would be the other one for me that I'd like to see. We're a little more thin there than I would have thought. I do like the guy from Alabama. I can never say. Johnny Walker's interesting, but he's later on too.
I give you corners as well.
Yeah, I don't know. Other than David Walker, I think he's the small school guy.
Here's your corners.
Yeah, Zay Alexander's like 6'2".
Yeah,
kind of big. I think he had an injury one year.
Kind of fits that profile. You got Kobe Bryant, who was a super competitor.
Yeah, I really like him. He's light, but I really do like him. And I think think about it this way. And I mentioned this in the Ravens draft video I did. Maybe I don't even know how long ago it was, a week or so. If we did go safety at some point here, like you've done, on first down, Marlon can be our outside corner on the right, and Wiggins can be our outside corner on the left.
Right.
And then if we find a lighter cover guy like a Kobe Bryant, that guy can come in and be our outside corner on third downs, and Marlon can kick on down to nickel if we need him to, or whatever, or if we're in dime. So I'm not averse to. We got 2 picks here in a row, though, right? 83, 91.
Yep, we coming up back to back.
And Walker is
pretty good. D tackles too. Deion Walker sitting there. Peebles from Virginia Tech, I like. Jamari Caldwell from Oregon. Sitting there. This kid right here, Simeon Barrow. I don't know if you've seen him yet.
No.
Man, but when I watch him, the first thing that comes to my mind is Warren Sapp. He has that type of get off, that type of competitive motor, and he just he can play everything from the 1 to the 3 technique. So it'll be interesting for us as we get later into
Caldwell being that low, I would have thought he'd be a little higher. I would have thought he'd be in the 90 to 100 range. What do
Hey,
we have?
Shout out to my guy Skeptic, man. He loves Jamari Caldwell. We actually did some all 22 from Jamari Caldwell. It's pretty good. So
well, me and him usually agree on everything. I'm not tell him I'm not going to take him though. I do like. Isn't Walker the real tall guy? Isn't Walker like 6'6", 6'7"?
Yeah. From Kentucky. Yes.
Yeah. And Swinson's gone as an edge defender here.
Let's see. I think Swinson is gone. Let's check it out.
I think you looked at it a moment ago.
Yeah.
I don't know either one of these guys well enough to be able to say. I think Hassanawin is a guy who had a bunch of sacks last year, 2023 at Boise, but I could be wrong. I don't see him.
I don't see Swinson.
Oh, the guy from Michigan went a little earlier.
He did.
Is Swinson listed as a? What's he listed as here?
Let's see. Did he go up here? Oh, there he is.
Because I do like him.
He went to San Francisco.
43. Seems a little early to me, but I really do like the player. I'm not comfortable with either one of these edge defenders. I'm gonna make you take one. I'm gonna go D tackle and take Walker.
Walker. Yeah, you know what? I ain't gonna lie to you. The deeper the draft gets, the more I like the edge rushers. Like I'm like you, where depending on where you pick the player, I like it more or less.
Of course, yeah, you have to.
All right, so tell us real quick before we move on. What do you like about Deion Walker?
He's the real athletic big guy.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah, for Kentucky.
Yep.
Yeah, when I've seen, like I said earlier about the SEC, like I'm watching. Well, it almost kind of reminded me of like what do you call that in pro wrestling? Is it a battle royale when there's like a whole bunch of guys? Yeah, Royal Rumble. Yeah, Royal Rumble. Thank you. That's what the SEC film kind of reminded me of as far as the O-line and D-lines. Like you'd see a Will Campbell win against a Shamar Stewart, and then you'd see a Nick Scourton just bust Campbell's ass. And then, or you'd see a Booker win against Walker or whoever, and then the next snap he would lose. So it just reminded me of some just real slugfests, and he looks super talented to me, along with the size. Like I said, he's the guy that's like 6'6", isn't he?
Yeah, I believe so. He's long, pretty tall guy. He has a lot of different pass rush moves that I do like about him for a guy on the interior. And so I want to.
Yeah, I've really left you no choice here now with.
I know, man.
You going O-line and then D tackle consecutively. You're not going to invite me back.
No, I love it, man. Listen, I'm cool with it. I love. I mean, we can do all. We can do D tackles all day, man. This is the trenches is where it's at. We got to get stronger in the middle. My guy, Michael Pierce is getting a little older, a little longer in the tooth, and I would love to have him.
I don't believe he's under contract for this year. Didn't we restructure him?
I think he does have one more year left.
Okay, so this is it.
Yeah, I think he has one more year left. But there have been talks about him potentially retiring, which I'm not sure. You get
to a certain point, and let's say you've got, $18 million in the bank, and 6, 7, 8 years ago you might have had 1,800. I mean, you can't blame some of these guys for retiring, quote, a little bit early.
Yeah. I mean, I like Deion. I like the fit. I think he'd be, we also got to be forward thinking as well. Travis Jones is a free agent next year. To me, re-signing Travis Jones should be a priority.
A year early, you mean?
Yeah, a year early, right?
Yes.
You should re-sign. You should sign him this year.
We should have signed Matabike before 2023.
Agreed.
And that was something that come up multiple times on my videos was, why aren't we getting him signed? Because some of the markers was there.
Right. the longer we wait, though, obviously the price is going to go up and it gets
Yep.
harder. Under no circumstances do I think we should allow Travis to get to free agency.
Agreed.
Re-sign him, let him and Madubuike be the foundation of the middle of your defense, and continue to build around those two guys. But I just feel like you put too much equity into him to just let him go and dominate for another team, because that's exactly what he would probably do. And so if you can add a Deion Walker to Travis Jones and to Justin Madubuike and to Broderick Washington, now I think you really got a nice staple, kind of like what Philly's been building, which is just collecting talent up front. And that's what they've been doing for years. They just keep drafting them and just collect talent.
Yep.
And guys like Michael Pierce and guys like Brent Urban are going to start to retire, and you just need to be able to keep the coverage stocked.
Man, we've been so fortunate. Like Brent Urban is just a godsend. Like he'll just sit on the bench for a game and a half, maybe play 8 or 10 reps, and then all of a sudden one game we need him to play 25, 28 reps, and he comes in and does the job. And we've been very fortunate in that regard. Now, have you thought about receiver here?
Yes, it has crossed my mind. We got a question. So She Talks Football says, should they have tried, or should they have signed Broderick Jones before? Travis Jones before Broderick Washington. So should they have signed Jones before Washington? What do you think, in your opinion? I know what I think. I'm curious to see what.
We get the benefit. I think it's a good question. I think I don't exactly remember the timing of it, but I do. We get the benefit now, me and you, of having watched 2024, where Jones, he did make more plays in 2024. I don't remember him making the same amount of plays in 2023, but we did see talent. I think you saw talent from Jones immediately. Certainly. Now, I will say this: I thought Broderick Washington had some good moments this season. We didn't get. Maybe we didn't get the consistency, though, that we would like for someone that we decided to re-sign.
Agree. I think two different players, two different price ranges too. I think Broderick Washington is just a run stopper. Just he's one of those nice role players that you can keep on your roster for cheap, and he'll contribute in different ways, like just stopping the run. But Travis, to me, has a way higher upside. He's going to cost you more because he's a pass rusher and a run stopper. And so,
agreed.
I think you get the deals done that you can get done, right? And that's the way the Ravens operate. They get the deals done that they can get done. And what that means is if it's easier to sign Broderick, you sign Broderick. You can only get the deals done that are there to be done. So
I don't mean to be disparaging, but I think you can draft another Broderick Washington kind of easy.
Absolutely.
I don't, even this draft has a lot of good D tackles. Now we just took Walker at 83, who's got significant talent. I don't think there's, Travis Jones is just available at every pick every year. So I think to answer her question, of course, in hindsight, I'd rather say Travis Jones be locked up longer. But I don't think we could have signed him then because of his. The year that we drafted him, I think it was a year later than Broderick?
Yeah. So I think it's 2 years because Broderick came out in COVID year. He came out in 2020.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking.
And Travis came out in 2022.
Yeah.
So like 2 year difference. All right. So now we have Deion Walker, D tackle from Kentucky. We have where's our picks? So we have Amon Mimbo, Nick Emmanwori, and Deion Walker. I think we're covering some traditional Ravens bases. Ravens love non-premium positions and they love value, right? And getting Nick Emmanwori at 59 presents tremendous value. Deion Walker, same. Mimbo was a steal. You take him at 27. He'll be an all-pro guard in no time. Now that puts me back on the board, and we
haven't addressed edge or wide receiver at all. So that it's kind of like no matter what you do here, you're gonna, I don't want to say neglect, but you're going to leave something out. And again, I feel like we can rely on. We have competent guys out there on the outside.
Right, we do. We do. To me, I feel like
Is that the receivers that are still available?
yeah. So to me, with the Ravens, this is how I would look at it, and this is how I think the Ravens look at it. You got two positions of need.
Yeah.
You go best player available. I do like Kamon Rucker from North Carolina. I do like Ashton Gallop from Louisville. This David Walker kid is interesting from Central Arkansas.
Yeah, yeah.
But I'm going to switch it a little bit.
Is Trey Harris still there?
I'm going to go best player available, and I'm going to go Trey Harris, wide receiver from Ole Miss.
Dude,
I just think we just got to steal.
Yeah, we just hit a grand slam. We just hit a grand slam. This is ridiculous.
I mean, you get Trey Harris at 91.
I didn't know he was there. I would have taken him at 83. I didn't even know he was there.
Yeah, and to me, why not? Like, I liked the edge rushers that were available, but
I don't think he's there.
Loved the Trey Harris sitting there. I mean, he's the big prototypical X receiver that the Ravens have been starving for.
Yeah, if we do this again, then and I leave Trey Harris on the board, just stop me.
Yeah,
just stop me. Because I wouldn't have left him there, at 83. I just assumed he was gone.
You assumed he was gone, right?
Yeah.
And what you're right to think that, because like why isn't he gone, right? And I've noticed that though he's been lower on a lot of mock draft boards for some reason. I don't know what it is. I know he didn't have like a monster season, but when you watch him, he has everything that the EDC talked about, and EDC even just mentioned it in the podcast he did this year, this offseason, just a month ago. He said, it bothers me that I still haven't been able to acquire or draft that big body X outside receiver. Well, now you have EDC. You're welcome.
Yeah.
Trey Harris. Excuse me. He also compliments the other guys very well. Zay Flowers and Bateman, he'd be a perfect complement to those two guys.
I mean, we were excited. We were excited to draft
Tez Walker
last year, and let's just be real. He's better than Tez Walker right now.
Oh, for sure.
I mean, so this is, and to address wide receiver consistently is a good thing. It's a good thing to address it. Does it mean you have to make it a one of your first 3 picks every year? Well, in this case, our 4th pick, because I was stupid enough to leave him on the board. No, but we should address it often to just, take as many swings as possible. It's a good talent. It's a good talent, man.
Agreed. Trey Harris. I mean, I know my guy Skep loves Trey Harris. He talks about him so much every time we discuss this draft. He really loves Trey Harris.
Same here.
And I think this would be a steal.
I think me and him are the same dude.
Yeah, me too, man.
I think we may be the same dude.
I'm starting to think you and Skep might be, separated at birth. Guys share a lot of the same.
He joked. He said that to me one time. He said, "Man, we got to disagree about something."
Yeah. He actually said in chat. He said, "Ha, me and all 22, we see the game in a similar way."
Well, getting more, more receivers, it doesn't mean we have to draft the same type of receiver. And, what's he, 6'2", 6'3"?
Yeah, he is. Let me just double check. I believe he's listed at 6'2".
Yeah, doesn't look 6'4".
No,
doesn't look 6'4".
Absolutely not. I don't think, you know how they do. They lie and they put on there these ridiculous. He's one of the 6'3". That's what
one of the guys in my Discord said it very well. I think yesterday via the text channel. He said Harris is just a professional. He just, in each situation that they put him in, he looks prepared for it. I like him. Looks like a balanced receiver to me. Doesn't look like just a speedster. Doesn't look like just a one-on-one guy, just a jump ball guy, just a slant guy. He looks balanced, good at pretty much everything. He had a really good route along the left sideline, kind of like a post out, a deep post out. I don't know which team it was against. I cut it up while you were leading into the show. Okay. That showed a little bit more agility than some of these clips here, which is posts and stuff like that.
You know the thing I like about him is one, he catches the ball with his hands. You know, anyone who knows me knows that one of my pet peeves with receivers is body catchers. I absolutely cannot stand guys who let the ball enter their body. I love guys who show natural, um, you know, confidence in their hands and just plucks the ball. He does that consistently. He's always reaching his hands away from his body to catch the football. That's one thing. Two, I mean, Ole Miss has a track record, right, of putting out good receivers. They just do. Like AJ Brown, DK Metcalf, Elijah Moore, you name them, they good receivers. So Brandon in the chat from X says we just need to find a competent number 3 receiver. And Brandon, I agree. With Tylen Wallace being a free agent and what's his name? We have Tylen Wallace was a free agent. We have Nelson Aguilar was a free agent. I do think it's time to go back into the draft and get another receiver. This time, the big body type the Ravens have been looking for. So
This would be, I mean, you can tell me, and people in the chat can tell me if I'm way off here. I think Trey Harris would be a damn good pick at 59.
I agree. I mean,
You
listen,
know,
listen. If they took him at 59, I probably sit back like more of an like okay, but I wouldn't be mad at it. I mean, frankly, I just wouldn't. I mean, you could do much worse than Trey Harris in the second round. If they really like him, and I do know they like some of the receivers from last year's draft. So
yeah,
to get him in the second or third round, I think that'd be a steal.
this is ridiculous. I think this is a really nice draft here, even though we didn't plan it this way.
Yeah, this was not planned at all.
Yeah,
Be able to get Mimbo, Manwari, Deion Walker, and Trey Harris. I mean, these are 4 studs that we have right there. So, with that being said, you're back up again, sir. And
is
the
the
edge
NC?
rusher has eluded us.
I know, right? And I'm getting ready to ask a giveaway. Is the tackle from NC State still here?
Let's see.
Emory Jones is still there.
Emory Jones is still there. Yes.
What now? I'm at what 128,
Yeah, we're one. Yeah, we're 128.
and so you're back up here soon.
Yeah, I'll be back.
I love Emory Jones. I love Emory Jones.
Me too. I do too.
I think he's going to be a 10, 12 year pro in the NFL.
I agree. I love Emory Jones. I'm glad you said that. Like that makes me feel good that you also like Emory Jones because I love Emory Jones.
When I watch him,
he's the guy no one's talking about.
Yeah, when I watch him, and I watch him against Shamar Stewart and Scourton, I just see a guy who knows what he's doing. He doesn't play the game the same way as Membu, but hey, if we didn't re-sign Ronnie Stanley and we came out of this draft with Membu and Emory Jones, I'd be happy.
Oh, I'll be thrilled. I'll be thrilled. I'll be like, oh well. We went into this draft saying, okay, Ronnie's already signed. I mean, this draft actually works better if Ronnie's not signed.
Yeah. What's edge defenders look like or corner? Because if the dude from Kansas is still here, I'm taking him.
So we have
UCLA guy's good.
Yeah,
He's out. He's tough.
Tyler Beatty, I love. We have
what's corner look like?
Yeah, we haven't taken the corner yet either. We got Zah Alexander still there, Quincy Riley, Denzel Burke. Yeah, I like those guys.
I do like Alexander. I think he only had 4 picks, something like that. So it's not like the ball production is there. Mm-hmm. I can't go another offensive lineman here. It'd be too much.
Yeah, especially when we got Ronnie back, right? Like I think it'd be a little overkill.
Let's go to corner because I think we got to address the position. Edge defender, I feel like we have to address too. The UCLA edge defender is there.
Yeah, he's there.
I'm not. It's not like he's one of my. It's not like he's one of my favorites. Gotta haves.
Yeah, me neither.
But
we could probably get him at 139.
Yeah,
136. I mean.
I do like Alexander, the corner from LSU. He's
long. He feels like a Ravens
6'2".
player. Yeah. He
Yeah,
feels like a
6'2".
Ravens corner to me. I'd be on board with it.
Yeah, let's take him.
Let's go with Alexander. Even though Emory Jones would absolutely be tempting in this position.
Yeah.
Because like you said, I think he's a 10-year starter. But we go Zy Alexander. And for those who are unfamiliar, let's take a peek. Zy is a long, rangy corner. Kind of, it's funny because he kind of reminds me of Trey White a little bit, who also played at LSU. When he came out, very similar skill set. Long outside corner, long arms, press man guy. He will come up and make tackles. He's not, Marlon Humphrey, but he will absolutely come up and tackle you. Shows good technique. And one thing we know about John Harbaugh is that if you're going to play in his secondary, corner or safety, you got to be able to tackle. I think that's why Marcus Williams struggled so much, is that Marcus Williams did not want to tackle. Marcus Williams just wanted to stay back and play coverage. And in the Ravens secondary, where everything is interchangeable, you have to be able to tackle. Got to be able to tackle.
He doesn't get beat to the outside on some of these plays here. Of course, these are highlights, obviously, but that space there, that space from just inside the top of the numbers to the sideline, it's such a dangerous type of tackle to make if you allow that ball carrier, whether it's running back on screen or receiver, if you allow him to get you to the outside. And these really well-trained corners from the SEC, they just don't allow you that space. They just, it's a very simple thing for me to say, but if you're going to miss the tackle, you got to miss the tackle to the inside. But the difference is with guys like this, they don't miss the tackle. You know what I mean? They don't miss the tackle. He's it was not a guy that I would say I was looking forward to taking.
Mm-hmm.
But I had seen significant film of him. Darian Porter is the one that I would really like to find here. 4.35, 4.36 speed at 6'4". But I'm sure I don't see, with a good combine, I don't see how he's not off the board by the time we're picking 59 or shortly thereafter.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's him versus
Trey
Harris.
I like Zay Ozai a lot. So I think he'd be a good pick for us there. And we keep moving here. And we're going to go with
Stevens. It was a 4th round pick, right? Or was he 3rd? He was 3rd.
I think he was Stevens. Brandon Stevens was 3rd round.
3rd, yeah.
Yeah, he was 3rd round. Where is? Oh, here we go. All right. So that takes us back to we have pick 136. And it feels like we got to get the edge.
Yeah, I know.
The one guy I do love is still on the board, but I feel like we can get him later. And that's Johnny Walker Jr. I like him a lot. He reminds me
Missouri, right?
Yeah, I like him a lot. But I feel like based on this ranking system, we could probably get him later.
Yeah.
How about we take a tight end?
Yeah, we're just not going to take an edge defender.
Let's say we trade Mark Andrews. Would you be okay with them taking a tight end?
Yeah, why not? I mean, we do a good. I think at some point it's pretty obvious that Ricard's not going to be on this roster. So having a tight end that A, can play special teams, B, can play tight end / fullback, because that's what NFL teams are doing. The tight ends are playing fullback when they need a fullback on the field. Certain teams have retained the fullback position, us, the Dolphins, the 49ers. So, yeah. I don't even know what's here. It's like my screen froze up.
Let's see. Yeah, so let's see. We got.
Oh, okay, never mind.
Yeah, I just think the tight end. I mean, because next year Charlie and like you said, Charlie and
Likely.
Yeah, Isaiah Likely are both free agents next year. Now, obviously, if you trade Mark, you have plans on
He's signing Likely, obviously.
long term Likely. But to me, tight end would still be a need. Um, but also like edge. Edge. What do you think? Have you looked at Tyler Barron from
No,
Miami or any of these guys? I have
I
looked
haven't
at Johnny
watched.
Walker. I do like some of these guys, but I feel like we could wait. Honestly, I
I
mean,
do. In order to be as efficient as possible, I try to do by position and conference. So basically, I've been O line, D line, linebacker for the Big Ten and the SEC. That's
mhm.
what that's what I've been doing. I have not really been able to watch well much besides. I did watch some Arizona State and Iowa State because of Darian Porter, but I have not watched much ACC at all.
Okay. So I do like Johnny Walker. I think I'm gonna wait on Johnny. Um, honestly, I can see the Ravens going to free agency and getting an edge rusher anyway.
Hmm.
I could see like a Khalil Mack or something like that coming in. Um, and Ravens just kind of going that way and maybe continue to invest in Owe.
Yeah,
You do have a
someone
highly
who's not
committed
going to play a lot of snaps,
right. Yeah,
because I just don't see them paying money for somebody to come in and play 45, 50 snaps when we have so much depth there already.
agreed, agreed. Now, before we go to the next pick, I want you to check out something and someone because this kid Simeon is someone that even though he's listed as an interior D lineman,
Like a hybrid.
he's a hybrid and he'd be a really good pick right here. Um, let's check him
Well,
out real quick because
and
I
we
think
had
he could play both.
let's be honest, last year in run downs, look at the Bills game. In run situations, we had Tavius Robinson and Malik Harrison on the field.
Agreed.
That's who was on the field,
Yeah.
and those guys flat out are better run defenders out there, out on that edge, especially by the end of the season. Is he 10?
Yep, number 10.
You haven't watched the only ACC teams that I've seen. I saw, well, obviously Clemson at Georgia from Week 1 last year. I got that game,
Hmm.
and I do have a significant amount of Miami offense film
Hmm.
for Cam Ward. I'm gonna have to wait to evaluate the quarterbacks until later. I do
Yeah,
want to.
I've checked them out a little bit as well. I have a bunch of the ACC film, all 22 stuff.
Yeah,
Um, I was going to pull some up, but that's more for we're just trying to give people an idea of the players. But this is what I'm saying. This kid can play everything from the 1 to the 3. He can play on the edge. He can play inside, and you see it. Miami moves him all around, and he has a motor.
stopped on a dime.
Yeah, yep. He has a motor. He chases guys down from the backside. He has a decent pass rush repertoire for a guy his size. And he's just look, he just splits a double team.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Um,
Why not?
why not, right?
I don't.
Complements what we have. That also allows us to kind of move. It gives us a nice rotation. And the reason why I'm doing this and saying this is, not to like you said overreact to the Eagles, but the one thing that separated them this year was that they had depth and they had a
Yeah.
rotation. They could bring waves of guys at you that just wore your offensive line down through the course of a game. Their
Hmm.
second unit would be starters on other teams. So, I mean, I just love the idea of this kid with Deion Walker, with Travis Jones, with Broderick Washington. Now you got a rotation of just young guys coming at an offensive line all game, right? 60 minutes and just throwing these guys at you. And I think right here he'd be unbelievable. I mean, look at the stats from last year: 28 tackles, 8 tackles for loss, 5.5 sacks for an interior guy. Right? I think the Ravens would take that stat line right now from any of their D tackles.
And I think too, like I was just reflecting on this. You mentioned him, I believe, 2 picks ago, but I could be
Yeah,
wrong.
yeah, I did.
If you were, if any of us were actually, in a draft room, at some point you want to draft players that your coaches and scouts believe in.
Thank you.
You want to draft, you want to draft play at when you get to the, excuse me, a certain point in the draft, whether that's the fourth round, fifth round, sixth round, whatever, you're drafting on potential to
Hmm.
some degree because you're going to have that player for a certain number of years contractually at a cheap price, and you may be drafting for year two or year three, and certainly he looks like a guy that with our depth that we have there at D tackle. If you do get opportunities, Simeon, you got to play as hard as you can for 7 to 7.5, because the average football play I think is about 7 seconds, maybe a little bit less. You
Right,
better play your ass off for those 7 seconds
right.
because
That's how you
we
gonna
got
get.
Matabike, we've got Travis Jones, we've got Broderick Washington who's under contract. You got to take advantage of it. I don't see why not. Even though we have already taken Walker, I don't have a problem with it because
Yeah,
we're sitting on a ton of picks.
yeah. We sit on a ton of picks. Plus, he gives you. Yeah, so you say, well, oh, we need an edge, but do you need an edge or do you need another pass rusher? Because I think that's what it really comes down to. Ravens need another pass rusher. So let's take Simeon Barrow. We have a chat here. Um, CRJ says Deion Walker and Simeon are scary sight. Deion Walker and Simeon would be a scary sight. I agree. It'd be unbelievable. Young tandem to pair with our other young guys, and
Oh
I
man,
think it would just be unbelievable.
Marcus Yarns is on the still here. Oh man,
I
Marcus
love
Yarns.
Marcus Jones. What you know about Marcus? You know what? I forgot who I'm talking to. Marcus Young is probably one of my favorite under the radar players in this draft. He's
Yeah, I know some people that coached against him in high school and saw film of him in high school, and then when he went to Delaware, obviously that Penn State game 2023 opened up a lot of people's eyes. So, real good pass catching guy. We certainly don't need him.
right.
At this point, we probably don't need a Emory Jones either. I don't think Emory Jones on the board at 176, but I may be way off, and maybe he will be. What do we got? What do we got as far as tight end?
So to what you were saying, really quick though, I'm gonna take the tight ends out. But to what you were saying, I
Hmm.
do love Luke like Lackey. I like
It's
Luke
it's
Lackey.
Iowa tight end. I mean, of
Yeah,
course.
yeah, he's so good though. Like he's really good. What do you? So to your point, um, with Yarns, you you want to know who my comp is for him?
He's a
Um,
downhill guy with a lot of speed. Good. And I think he has 17 catches last year, and 5 of them were touchdowns. So very,
yeah,
big play
he's
guy.
yeah. You remember Ronnie Hillman,
Of course.
running
Yeah.
back for the Denver Broncos?
Yeah.
That's who my
Auburn
comp
played
is.
Auburn.
Yeah, yeah, Ronnie Hillman. Um,
Did he play at Auburn the same time Ben Tate did?
no, no, no. Ronnie Hillman played for San Diego State.
Oh,
You're
okay.
you're thinking about Ronnie Brown.
Yes. Yes. Yes.
Yeah,
Yes. Yes. Yeah.
Ronnie
Yeah. Yeah.
Brown
Yeah.
played for Brown plays for
Yeah. Yeah. He played for Auburn with
San
Ben
Diego
Tate.
State.
Yeah.
Yeah, so
Hmm.
just to uh because Hillman, I think, if I'm not mistaken, I think Hillman might have passed away. Yeah, he did
Hmm.
pass away in 2022.
Wow.
But when you watch
Yarns hits things downhill. He's very very explosive. Uh, I'm not going to draft him, but I really do like him.
yeah, I do too. I do too. For those who probably sitting there like Ronnie Hillman, that sounds familiar. This is Ronnie Hillman. And when I see Yarns, I see a lot of this guy. Um, he wasn't the biggest guy, but he would run between tackles. He was a big play guy. He could hit the outside ball. He actually had some pretty good runs against us, as you can see.
Hmm.
um, but yeah, when I watched Yarns the first time I threw the film on, I was like, wow, this guy reminds me of Ronnie Hillman. And then I do know Hillman passed away a few years ago.
Hmm.
Um, And yeah,
Man,
Skep was
too
saying Ronnie
young.
Brown.
Wow.
Yeah, yep, so young, man. Skep was saying Ronnie Brown played with Cadillac Williams at Auburn. That's what he
Okay.
was thinking about. Yeah, Cadillac.
Yeah. Well, I know Ben Tate a little bit too. So, huh?
Um, so
I remember Hillman. I mean, I didn't know that he was there with Peyton Manning.
yeah, he was there. Yeah, yeah.
Hmm.
Skep says Walker plays with a long body but not long arms, and I like him to handle double teams better to pick him over Harmon. All right, and then we have all right. So you're back up. Where you gonna go?
Oh, I thought it was you.
I thought I just picked Simeon. Yeah, I
Oh,
did.
yeah. You're right. You're right. You're right.
Yeah,
You're right.
yeah,
Yeah. Yeah.
it's on you.
I mean, I really want to pick Emory Jones here because I think I think he just, we don't need him. I guess at this point we don't need him with, but we've only drafted one offensive lineman so far, right?
Yep.
What do we?
And that guy's projected to play guard, so we actually haven't taken a tackle.
Membo, yeah, exactly, right. What's the edge defender look like? I know we just drafted another D lineman, so I'm not going to. I just want to see it.
And you got Diggs, Downs, and Walker.
Yeah, safety.
Safety. Even though we took Manwari. We got Arnold, Clark, Mickens. We got Burks and Malachi Moore. Now I kind of like Malachi.
Yeah, Dante Trader. Oh wow.
Yeah, Trader's pretty good.
Yeah.
Shallow Sanders.
Yeah. Well, I think for me, for my knowledge, the best player for me that I've seen that's still on the board that I have knowledge of is Emory Jones. So I'm gonna take Emory Jones.
All right. Welcome to the Ravens, Mr. Emory Jones.
Probably overkill here with the line situation, but like you said, with Membu moving to guard here under my scenario, we've certainly hammered the lines, offensive line and defensive line.
Yeah, I mean, you know what? I call this a meat and potatoes draft. When you know what we're doing, and we're not even doing this intentionally, but when you have a draft that is loaded in the trenches, well, guess what? You load up in the trenches. You draft to the strength of the draft, right? And like you said, once you get down in these rounds, you're gonna have scouts standing on the table for their guys, wanting to get certain guys, and yeah, I think you gotta go with the board, and if the board tells you the strength is the trenches, go with the trenches. I'm not gonna take much time with this next one. If you got something you want to add,
is it? I would be me personally here. I know that Ravens fans won't like the first part of this statement, but for me, one of the more valuable guys in the last couple of years, even though he had his obvious weaknesses at times, was Malik Harrison. Yes. And here's what I mean by that, because he could play OLB, 9 technique edge on rundowns, and he could play inside linebacker. And then obviously he played on special teams. So like me personally, getting down to these situations, I'm looking for guys who can do that, who can play a little bit of both.
Or special teams guys. Yep.
Yeah.
Absolutely. All right. So back to the board. This next pick, I'm going to go with Cody Simon, the linebacker from Ohio State, whom, I mean, he's exactly what you just explained.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, he's a high motor guy. He's got some skill. And we need depth at linebacker. We really do. We were thin.
Oh, that's 30.
We were thin, man. Like we had Chris Board starting for us. So you get a guy like Simon here this later in the draft. I think this would be a steal.
Yeah, he's got two ridiculously smart and aware pass drops from 2023 film. I saved it from an inside linebacker position, and I didn't even know, I didn't keep track of him this season at all, other than seeing him on the occasional end zone angle film.
I think he played really well next to Roquan as well. His skill set would complement Roquan's. He's a little sideline to sideline, shows really good instincts to be able to get around blockers. And he's a short tackler, and I think that's all you can ask for um, from this position.
Smart in zone coverage, from what I remember. I'm not going to say that I've watched 50 plays of this guy
Hmm.
or studied 50 plays of him, but very smart in zone coverage. I'm not sure about man to man. I can't comment on that, but in zone coverage, really bright. As far you see an example of it there, letting
Right.
guys pass under. Uh, so
Finding the ball. He's shown uh, this type of stuff shows up in his film all the time. Like you're just seeing constant plays of him just making smart decisions. Sometimes I don't really care how athletic you are. I just want to see that you're smart and that you're going to be in the right place at the right time. Because as a Ravens fan, you've seen that over the last couple of years. Guys not being smart, guys not playing smart, guys not taking care of their responsibility. And I think we definitely need to, um, start definitely. I know the analytics talks about physical traits, but we definitely need to start drafting smarter players. Because when you think about the Chiefs dynasty, the first thing that jumps out to you about what they've been able to done is how what they've been able to do is how smart their team is. They don't beat themselves. They're very smart.
young,
They
athletic, fast guys who play smart and don't commit a lot of penalties. Absolutely.
Yep, yep,
They had the Chiefs had that, one great draft, just great draft, and then they had, I think, another very good one and another good one, kind of all back to back. Maybe not in that order, but all back to back to back. And so they outdrafted us, I
yes, they
think,
have. They
to an
have.
extent for a 2 or 3 year period.
They have.
Well, they outdrafted the entire league.
Agreed.
The 40 for me, the 49ers last year was a killer draft. It was Chiefs esque what they did, getting so much quality. Even the running back Guerrero came in and played well when they,
Yep.
when everybody went down. So yeah, I like it. I can't pretend to have known a lot about him from this year's film, but I have filmed 2 plays saved of him from 2023. Great, just great,
Yeah.
great pass reps from
Yeah.
in zone.
Absolutely. I mean, and frankly, like you mentioned, the Ravens EDC had a really good draft in 2022. That was Kyle Hamilton's draft.
Yeah,
I think he's due for another one. I think this, that was the in that draft. I think he had 11 picks in that draft as well, and he came away with a bunch of starters. Right? You
well,
talked about
yeah,
Travis Jones, Kyle Hamilton, Tyler Linderbaum. We talked about Falele. We talked about, I mean, you name it. Likely, all of those guys came from that draft. I think now being armed with 11, potentially maybe 12, depending on what you get from the Mark Andrews trade, um, he has the potential to do damage and to draft the future of this team over the next 5 years. And it's going to be heavy dependent on this draft class this year. Um, and so, and we'll see how last year's draft ends up.
yeah.
Um,
Draft some more Tavius Robinsons.
mhm.
Draft some more. Again, this name's gonna be inflammatory for Ravens fans, but draft some more Brandon Stevens, guys that for a year or two don't look like they're going to contribute. And then all of a sudden, 2023, reality is Brandon Stevens, 2023, about 12 games that season, he's playing at all pro level or
Agreed.
all pro Bowl level. Now, another 3 or 4 or 5 games is a different story. So, but it to a certain extent, it doesn't surprise me that when we've had 11 picks, we've done a better job. It's almost like I'm old enough to remember Reggie Jackson, guy who I think he struck out more than anyone in history in Major League Baseball. But nobody, I forget who said it. Nobody remembers that. They remember the home runs. They
Absolutely.
remember Mr. October. And so for
Mhm.
EDC and the front office, we'll remember 2022 for the hits, for the home runs, and not the guys that didn't contribute. It'd be great if we could get another one.
Absolutely. Absolutely. It's coming together really, really good. I mean, the trenches are insane. I mean, Mimbo, Ore, Dion Walker, Barrow, Jones. I mean, and then you get the big receiver, the big corner, and you get a very smart and instinctual linebacker. So this draft is going really well, and it's your pick.
Ty
Okay.
Felton's still on the board. I do like him,
Yep.
especially he's a Maryland guy. I'm a
Hmm.
Maryland guy. I kind of like that quarterback, Slow, however you say his name.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Um,
Went
I
to a
didn't I
college shit.
didn't like the pick last year at all.
Oh.
I don't, I didn't like that pick at all. Really, from round three on, I didn't really like our picks other than Walker, the wide receiver. What about corner? What do we have available there?
We got Marshall from Florida, Cypress from Florida State. Um, Now this kid right here, Shamari Simmons, I like. I don't know if you've seen him, but boy, is he physical. He
Yeah,
is physical. He might even transition to safety in the NFL.
I
Uh,
like Jabbar Muhammad.
yeah, I
Um,
do too.
um,
When he was at Washington, he was really good.
yeah, I do feel like I do feel less enthused about what we've got available here. Clearly, well, we've addressed offensive line.
Mhm.
I'm going to go with Jabbar Muhammad. Probably a little bit of a cop out. There maybe there's better players there, but I like the ball skills.
It's the sixth round. I mean, at this point, like you
Yep,
said, you're taking flyers. You're trying to just see, who can we get that can stick.
yep.
And
We haven't
what do
drafted a
you like
kicker.
about
We haven't
Jabbar?
drafted a kicker yet. We need to do that.
Yeah, we do. We got to find Justin Tucker's replacement. Because listen, we gonna need it. What do you like about Muhammad though?
His ball skills. He's the guy that transferred. I think from
Washington.
Washington,
Mhm.
right?
Yep.
You know, um, he's got good ball skills, and he's a guy that I thought showed more versatility than they give him credit for. I think sometimes people, they kind of call some of these guys. He's a man corner. He's a zone corner. Some of that is matchup based. Some of that is certainly the characteristics of the player. I've never seen that play actually. Him blitzing off the edge.
Hmm.
Um, so I think sometimes players, particularly from college, I look back on McDuffie. When he
Yes.
came out of
Yes.
Washington, there were certain things said about him, and he has far outperformed a lot of those descriptions or evaluations of him. So I don't know. I think players are naturally going to live up to. Excuse me. Naturally going to try to exceed the expectations that are put upon them, and the
Hmm.
situation. He looks like a really good corner to me from the film that I had. Again, I mostly focus on the Big Ten and SEC offensive linemen and such so far. Like the draft document I sent you,
Yeah.
you saw the link. If you didn't look at it yet, take a look at it when you get a chance. It's mostly O line and edge defenders so far because that's just the most efficient way for me to scout.
Hmm. Love it. Love it. I mean, I think Ravens fans, if this was the draft, I think tell us, would you be excited if the Ravens pulled off this draft that we have so far? So um, we'll go back to the board here. Would you be excited for this draft if this was the actual draft the Ravens pulled off? So getting started with Armand Mimbo, gonna go play guard for you. Nick Manwore, Deion Walker, Trey Harris, Zai Alexander, Simeon Barrow Jr., Emory Jones Jr., Cody Simon, Jabal Muhammad. Um, Tell me how you feeling about it. Would you be excited for this? Would this be enough to get you out of your depression from losing the divisional round and ready for the 2025 Ravens? Let us know in the chat how you would feel if the draft played out like this so far. Um, and that means it's my turn. My turn.
Mhm.
In the words of Skip Bayless. And I'm going to go with tight end Luke Lackey. Um, Now, Luke Lackey, for those who don't know, is the son of a Hall of Fame coach. Bill Lackey, I believe is his dad's name. He was a great coach. Well, is a great coach. And he he was one of those guys that whenever I'm thinking about just glue guys, always like coaches' kids, right? And his dad,
Mhm.
Jim, not Bill, sorry. Jim Lackey, um, I always like coaches' kids because they kind of grew up around the game, they understand it. Um, uh, Usually those guys are your leaders on your team. They're your foundational pieces as far as keeping the locker room together because they think like a coach. They were raised under a coach, and yeah, I mean, I think you could do really well as adding Lackey as your third tight end, and then eventually your second tight end if you decide to move on from Charlie Kolar. What do you think about the pick?
Don't know much about him other than I think it's 2023. I think I maybe have like 3 or 4 plays of him blocking well, but I don't think that's what he's known for, is it?
No, he's a receiver.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's a receiver.
Yeah.
He's
that offense was
really
tough to watch in 2023.
Oh, for sure.
It was tough to watch.
Yeah, quarterback play was suspect. And he had got hurt. Had he not gotten hurt, he'd have been. He bounced back after the injury. He showed really well. I like what he does. Once the ball's in his hand.
They train him well. I mean,
yeah.
Look at what Laporta did before the tight end from Georgia came in this year and broke the record.
Yeah,
Laporta set rookie records the year before.
Agreed.
Yeah. So
I mean, you think about George Kittle and T.J. Hawkinson and Noah Fant and Sam Laporta. I mean, the list goes on. You could always trust a tight end from Iowa. I think he'd be a good compliment as well to Charlie and Isaiah Likely.
I would be interested in seeing, like, along the same lines as linebackers that play a little bit of inside linebacker, a little bit, what people call edge defender. Really, that's just a Sam linebacker in a 4-3 is all that is a guy who plays a 9 technique sometimes in a slid 50 look or under front, and a guy who plays inside linebacker in your 4-3 look. Same thing applies for these tight ends that you draft late, guys who have shown the ability, or you project the ability, they could line up some at fullback, H-back, tight end, run the split zone stuff, are willing to block edge defenders on split zone. Huge asset for me. If they have receiving skills on top of it, obviously this guy has that covered. Again, I don't know a whole lot about him other than, that offense in 2023 was very tough to watch. I forced myself in the off season after that year to watch like 5 Iowa games, and because I have friends say it was a horrible offense, and I was like, yeah, you're all right. This sucks. Like, it was terrible, but I just did it anyway.
It's amazing, though. The offense was terrible, but they had some elite players. Like Caleb Johnson is absolutely special. And then Luke Lackey was he's a really good tight end from there.
And their defense is always so sound. They're always so positionally sound. They almost I'm old, so I can say this. It almost reminds me of Temple under John Chaney with their matchup zone defense, in that it was just no open space there. Iowa's defense has always just been one that forces you to execute and just doesn't really allow big plays. They just remind me of Temple's defense under Chaney that was just awful to deal with.
Yeah. We got some chats here. Sean says solid draft, fire emoji. And CRJ says ecstatic. I would be ecstatic for this draft. So moving right along here. That means it's your pick, sir. And while we're moving, what do you say? Do you think the Ravens have 1, 2, 3, 4 6-round picks? Do you think they should use all 4, or do you think they should package some of these picks and move up?
Me personally, you mean?
Yeah, you personally.
Yeah, I wouldn't be averse to spreading them out. So thinning them out, I guess, to, like you said, trying to move up some if you can, or trying to move some of them to next year. If you can turn a couple of 6 and a 5th into a 4th, or a couple of 6 and a 4th into an earlier 4th next year, something like that. I like, I forget who made the comparison. It's been a couple of months back about looking at the teams that we think are going to be horrible next year, and let's trade with them. so trade with them, basically move up before next season's schedule. But you could catch that all wrong, I know. But I'm not sure that I'd like to see us make 11 selections from a general standpoint.
Mm-hmm.
For real, I don't know what number feels right. Is it 8? Is it 9? Is it 10?
Right.
I kind of feel like, what we did tonight, Andrews was it 83?
Yeah, for 83. Yeah.
Yeah, I kind of feel like 83. Well, it worked out great for us. This is a badass draft.
Yeah.
But I kind of feel like, just my general feeling on this draft is I'd like to be back up in the 48 to 50 range,
Right.
45 to 50, somewhere in there.
Yeah, like more picks in the top 70.
Yeah, which we pretty much accomplished. It's just 83 and 91 was the third and the fourth pick. I don't think you can complain about this draft at all.
No, absolutely. I mean, you get Deion Walker and Trey Harris with those picks, by the way.
Stupid in the third round too. I mean, stupid.
In third round. So I think you'd be stealing at that point.
We
So
probably got to take a quarterback or kicker here. Not sure. What do we got as far as kickers? Who's been taken?
I'm hoping my guy from Florida State is there. He's there.
Yeah,
Ryan
let's take him.
Fitzgerald. Yeah, let's go.
Let's take him.
Best kicker in the draft. Welcome to Baltimore. The tradition.
Why would he still be there in the sixth round?
Because he's a kicker. Yeah, he's a kicker, and I mean, people don't even usually draft kickers. I mean, every now and then you might see, I guess, a kicker drafted, but like,
it seems like a good old boys agreement by the general managers. Like, oh, we won't draft kickers until this round, and I'd like to go against the green, so I wish we had taken him earlier to circumvent all that. So.
Yeah, I agree. And then honestly, when you got 4 6-round picks, I think you absolutely should use one on the kicker. You absolutely should. And
well, we've also saved the Ravens money in this. I mean, presuming that if we're drafting a kicker, that means somebody's gone. Number one, and number two, you traded away Andrews, so there's got to be significant space that's cleared up by this.
yeah, $11 million is what you would get by moving Mark Andrews. So save the Ravens some money, and got younger at the position at the same time. This is Ryan Fitzgerald, kicking a 50-yard field goal this past season. He was absolutely the best kicker in college football. And he's coming out 59. In the year where the Ravens, 59. The other one was a 50, I think. And so in a year where the Ravens need a kicker, this is perfect.
Yeah.
And let's be honest, if you're him, you want to go to Baltimore. The rich history that the Ravens have with kickers, yeah, you want to go there.
And you're gonna kick a lot. You're gonna kick a lot of extra points too.
A lot of them. You're not gonna have to, not gonna be too many times where you're asked to kick 12 field goals to try to win a game. Our offense is really elite. So,
yeah, I mean, it's true. It's truly remarkable that we have, at the same time that we have Lamar playing at a Hall of Fame level, we have a Hall of Fame running back, and we have an offensive coordinator that has to be ranked among the top 15 to 20 offensive coordinators in the world. And when I say in the world, I mean the NFL and college football at the same time. Monken has to be ranked really highly. I have some minor complaints, and I think we all probably do at certain times. But, for us to have that combination at the same time that we have Rashad Bateman and Zay Flowers is truly a blessing, and we just need to improve the offensive line, in my opinion, which we did that here.
Agreed. Well, I'm gonna bring it home for us, and do we go running back? Do we go quarterback? What do we do? Let's make this last one a joint effort. What do you think? Last pick.
I'm assuming that Marcus Yarns is gone.
Who?
I'm assuming Marcus Yarns is gone.
Oh, the running back?
Yeah, he's got to be.
He'd be a steal right here.
Oh, okay. I didn't know if you had scrolled down. Got it.
Yeah. He'd be a steal. See receivers we got here. Because I'm thinking like kick returner.
Mm-hmm.
God, they can. Because I know that they've mentioned that they want to address the return position like for sure this year, because we've been kind of like putting band-aids on it and trying to
Yeah.
get certain guys, but I think they absolutely have to get a legit returner. Now, what's the kid from Dallas, the Cowboys? Um, what's the kick returner?
This you mean the smaller guy, the smaller
Yeah,
running back?
the wide receiver from the Cowboys.
Oh, you
Turpin,
got
Turpin,
yeah.
Devontae Turpin. Well, he's a free agent.
Mm.
We could go after him. I can't imagine he would cost a whole bunch of money, but he would come in and give you a legit returner. I mean, I think that'd be awesome. Um,
Somebody that somebody that has a singular job. That's their job. They understand. Okay, I'm not getting reps at running back. I'm not, like, for example, Justice Hill. I don't need to see Justice Hill back there returning kicks. I think that it should be a singular job for someone this young, or like like you just said with the guy from Dallas, somebody that's going to says, hey, I need to take advantage of the opportunity here and hit this 100 miles an hour.
Now, this kid right here, Arian Smith, are you familiar?
Was he the one that was injured some?
Yeah, a little bit. Super fast. I'm talking about like Jameson Williams type fast, but
Mm.
he has very inconsistent hands. Doesn't hold on to the ball, but he can fly. And
Yeah.
I'm talking about in the 7th round. Um, why not? What do
I mean, there's been some important 7th round picks made, obviously, in a recent past, with Brock Purdy. So, I mean, we're swinging for triples and home runs in the 6th and 7th round.
Yeah,
We're not
might
going
as
for
well.
singles this late.
Might as well, right? Might as well go out and see what we can get. They are saying Arian Smith may challenge Xavier Worthy's 40-yard dash from last season. That's how
Wow.
fast he is. Like, absolutely flyer. So I think I'm gonna take him. Why not?
Yeah, do it.
We get him, and he surprises us and becomes a deep threat kick returner. If not, he was a 7th round pick. So that's gonna close it out for us with Arian Smith coming from Georgia. Also, the connection with Todd Monken. Monken did coach him at Georgia when he was a freshman, so he knows a little bit about him. Let's check out Mr. Irrelevant, our Ravens Mr. Irrelevant.
Does it grade your whole draft, or?
Yeah, it does. It does.
That's cool.
And then we'll go over the draft. Let's talk about Mr. Smith here. Give him his just due as Mr. Irrelevant. And we can hopefully see some of his speed here.
Good get off.
Mm-hmm.
DB just gave up on the play.
Yeah, he did. I would have cut him immediately. I was like, what are you doing? You had him and was just like, you know what? You good, bro. Just go ahead and score. Like, you just let him go. What the was that? I'm more disappointed in the defender than
that.
Wow. Oh my gosh. The separation.
The same DB?
I hope not. This was against Notre Dame in the playoff.
Yeah. That's the backup quarterback?
I think so.
He's got a better arm than Beck.
Yeah.
That ball came out of there sharp.
I think this is Beck right here.
Yes. Yeah. Not a huge fan.
Yeah. Of Beck? Yeah, me neither.
Yeah, not a huge fan.
Me neither. When I told people I wasn't, they was like, "Oh, he'll be a first round." I'm like, "Not this year, he won't."
It's just the discussion about quarterbacks. It's like everybody has to be a year ahead in proclaiming something that wasn't there on film. Wasn't there. The ball just has nothing on it.
So this kid has some get up and go, man. He's got
ability.
Yeah, he does. I'll be interested to see what he runs, because he may very well break that Xavier Worthy record from last year. He's that fast. He's also a track kid as well.
Oh, that's awesome. He
Yeah.
looks like the kind of dude that scores like 2 touchdowns in a preseason game, and everybody is like blown away by him.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yep. You know that kid that every year, like, oh, he's it. That's the one we found our deep threat.
Not
And
to
then the
discount,
regular season starts, and you never hear from him again.
yeah, not to discount preseason, performances, because I mean that's top 1% of the world in terms of football players out there. But
Agreed.
he looks like that kind of guy that would just scorch a preseason defense.
He's got some ability.
Yes, he does.
He if nothing else, he gonna scare a defense because that kind of speed. You have to respect it.
Everybody runs that play now to the right because he's a right-handed quarterback.
If nothing else, man, you just gotta, he's fast, and maybe you can develop him. Maybe, he gets something out of him. He came out of high school pretty highly recruited. Was supposed to be something.
Okay, I remember this now. Yeah.
Yeah, he was supposed to be something that with an injury, I believe, and very inconsistent with the hands, but he's got some speed, and it's the one thing you can't teach.
Well, we've added to the O line, the D line, certainly added to the defensive secondary with the safety.
Yep.
And on the top of it, Trey Harris, ridiculous.
Yep. Exactly. You add some receiver depth. You lose 2 receivers in Nelson Aguilar and Tylan Wallace, and you bring in Trey Harris and Arian Smith. So you get pretty good draft. Pretty happy with it.
Did it give you a grade overall, you said?
I believe so. Yeah, let's check it out. All right. So we got a B-. It said that when we took Nick Manwore, the highest or the better need was Xavier Restrepo. See, this I don't pay attention to this grading scale because they grade you based on how they have their players ranked and based on what they say that you need. We all know Nick Manwore would be a first-round pick. So to get an F for him in the second round is insane.
Yeah, it's ridiculous. It's like Bizarro World.
Yeah, you'd be thrilled to get him in the second round. You're right. He would be an A+ in the second round.
Yeah.
So I think you guys, you tell us. We have 129 people watching between YouTube and Twitter, and we have another 14 people watching on playback. Y'all tell us in the chat, what do you think? How do you think we did? What would you grade our draft? PFF gave us a B. B-. They gave us a B+ for Arian Smith, a D+ for our kicker here, B- for Luke Lachey. Jabbar Muhammad gave us a C-. We got an A- for Cody Simon, an A- for Emory Jones, C- for Simeon Burrow Jr., B+ for Zay Alexander, B+ for Trey Harris, C- for Deion Walker. I don't care what they're saying. Deion Walker's a dog. We hit this trade out of the park with getting a 3rd-round pick for Andrews. We used the 3rd-round pick on Andrews, and to get one back, like 7 years later, I mean, that'd be a steal. We got an A for Mimbo and an F for Manwore, which
that should be an A for both of those first two. I mean, that should be an A for the safety.
Absolutely should be an A. What do you guys think? Yeah. Y'all tell us. Grade our draft. Overall, Coach, what's your thoughts on the draft?
I think I'd be blown away. It reminds me of the 2022 draft, and except we didn't take Hamilton first, and then but it's similar. We took Hamilton and then Linderbaum.
Now that you said something, it's almost identical. We took an offensive lineman and a safety.
Yeah, an offensive lineman that's I don't want to say small, but smaller and quick and very well suited for a outside zone type scheme.
Yep.
And then we took a safety
with the 3rd round, just like you did with Travis Jones.
Yeah, so very similar to 2020. I would say it almost reminds me more of the 49ers draft last year in that there's just a lot of really good football players here.
Yeah.
Um, I would almost compare it favorably to the 49ers draft last year. Now, I can say that because, the receiver didn't play for a lot of the year because of, his
Yeah.
unfortunate
Situation.
injury where he
Yeah.
got shot.
Yeah.
But, I would say this compares favorably to that draft in some way, just on paper. Who knows about in actuality. The only thing we're missing is, a running back that runs a 4.3, but we got a receiver that might run a 4.2.
Right. Exactly. I agree. I agree. I would have liked to get maybe more of an elite edge rusher, but the board just
Agree. Yeah.
didn't fall that way. It kind of fell in a way where uh the interior guys presented more um value. And here's the thing: a dominant interior will make your edge guys better. If you watch
Yeah.
the Eagles, their best pass rushers are inside guys. Their best D linemen are inside. Jalen Carter, Jordan Davis, like those guys are elite inside. Which
Who's
then
the other guy? Is it Williams? No, it's not
yeah,
Williams.
no, Watt Williams. It's what's the guy name that was he was kind of killing in the Super Bowl. I forget his name.
Oh, yeah, 2 sacks. He's a defensive tackle
Yeah,
on their right, opposite of Carter. He was
yeah.
dominant.
So
Uh,
Jordan Davis, Jalen Carter, that kid, and then you think, and then it made Sweat and Nolan Smith and those guys gave them more opportunities to play one on one because you're having to double team the interior guys.
they seemed, from a schematic or conceptual standpoint, their outside linebackers, edge defenders, excuse me, weren't trying to get upfield to chase sacks. They seemed to make a decision. We're going to play at this angle on this track. And if that means it becomes a bull rush or a half man bull rush, we're going to make, in order for Mahomes to escape, it didn't seem like they wanted to let him step up to escape. It
Agreed.
seemed like they wanted him to have to bow back to escape.
Yep.
And I
Yep.
think that's just a smart tactical decision. I wasn't able to identify it during the game, but from watching the film thereafter, and again, I think there's a little bit of a misconception. I think that the Eagles identified a couple of weaknesses individually in the Chiefs' offensive linemen, and those particular rushes, bull rushes, half man, bull rush, whatever you want to call it, um, happened to fit well in that matchup, and then also was the best formula to keep Mahomes in the pocket. So while I do agree that we want to strengthen the D line and the offensive line, I do still think there's a little bit of a exaggeration. Maybe that's the wrong word coming out of the Eagles win. That like everybody in the NFL has to use that same formula. I don't agree with cookie cutter football. I don't think everybody has to have the same formula.
Right.
Even though we definitely improved the interior here with Walker, and you took a chance on Barrow. Barrow, I think is how you say it, right?
Yeah, Barrow Jr.
To and the cool thing for me, man, now I get to go watch some players, Barrow being one of them,
Mm-hmm.
as well as the other the receiver you drafted down there at the bottom,
Yeah,
Smith.
Arian Smith. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I agree, man. I mean, it just gives you, and it also everybody at home, it gives them the opportunity to say, "Oh, let me go watch that guy. Let me go watch this guy." That they picked up Cody Simon and Luke Lachey and Arian Smith and like you said, Simeon Barrow, Zy Alexander. If you guys aren't familiar with those guys, definitely take a look. Uh, This would be a really good draft. I'd be really happy with the Ravens getting this. Walking away with this many players that can play pivotal roles for you on a
Yeah.
team that, frankly, is very good and ready to win a Super Bowl, but also we have a lot of free agents over the next 2 seasons. This season and next year, the Ravens have a lot of free agents, and they may have to replenish the roster. So it's good to have a pretty loaded draft class like this. Um, EDC, did you watch a little bit of the combine today?
Me, no, man. I had students all day. I didn't have time to.
So I want to play you a clip, and I just want to kind
I
of
would
get
like
your
to, but
I just want to get your thoughts on it. Um, let's see. Let me get this. Eric DeCosta at the combine. Let's see.
General manager and the EVP of the Baltimore Ravens, Mr. Eric DeCosta. We were just talking off camera a little bit. 29th combine with the same NFL team. Is that right?
It is. I've been blessed. And, my first combine, 1997, I sat with Ozzie Newsome. And here I am now, 29 years later. I'm still sitting up there with Ozzie Newsome watching players.
Who do you remember? Was it like, I guess it's after,
cool.
But I got to think like Ed Reed and Boulware and Haloti Nada, all these guys. You remember seeing them here in Indy?
Terrell Suggs, Haloti put on a show here. Ed Reed, all those guys. Recently, Kyle Hamilton, Tyler Linderbaum, guys like that, Zay Flowers. We've been blessed. I've seen a bunch of them. Joe Flacco, put on an exhibition here. So I've had a chance to see a lot of great players play here, and we've been fortunate to draft a lot of those guys.
They call you EDC, and earlier this month, Lamar Jackson joked that it's EDC because every dollar counts. There are some decisions to be made in Baltimore this offseason. When do you start really digging in? Because we know there's been lots of conversations with agents, and you start talking to the players, but there are some big decisions in Baltimore to be made right now.
Well, I would say that EDC stands for every draft counts because we never have any money.
Ooh, nicely done.
It's the cap. And our job is really to find the best talent we can here. We have 11 picks, I think, this year. We're going to try and retain some of our guys. We do have some free agents, not quite as many as last year, but we definitely have some tough decisions to make. In saying that, looking at our team, we would have the majority of the team coming back this year, which is exciting based on the season we just had, with a great opportunity to improve, via the draft. I think it's a good draft with quality players in every round. And I would expect
agree.
to have a very good team on the field next year.
I would think most people would agree that the Baltimore Ravens have one of the best front offices, most consistent front offices. But it sounded like this week when they were talking to you in the media, you're getting contributions from everybody. Apparently, Lamar Jackson weighs in on some players, especially in the Florida region, of guys that he's had his eye on. Do you really consult some of the players on guys that they like?
I do. I think when you've got the best in the business playing for you.
How would you not? How would you not?
Exactly. Players know players.
I think, too, it's a great way to build relationships with your guys, to ask them about players that might have played with, guys they've seen on TV.
Yeah, they might know. Or
pounds. They feel a part of the process. It's a fun thing.
He's not going to say it, but maybe a player tells you, hey, don't draft this guy.
They definitely, in some cases, have strong opinions. We don't feel obligated to bend to those opinions every single year, but it's a nice aspect of my job to be able to talk to these guys and get their opinions on players.
We love it. Hey, 29 years of the combine, 30 years with the Ravens, all with one team in an NFL career that's been really decorated. Thanks so much for joining us, man.
Thanks, Pete.
Man, what you think, man? So every draft counts, guys. Not every more. It's every draft counts. And well, this one definitely needs to count. I agree with him when he said, they need to have a great draft, man. They got a lot of free agents. Like you said, not as many as last year, but if you look at next year's free agency class, oh my gosh, it's like half of our starters.
Yep.
Are all free agents. I mean, including Kyle Hamilton, Tyler Linderbaum, Travis Jones, Isaiah Likely, Charlie Kolar, Michael Pierce, Derrick Henry, Marlon Humphrey.
The good thing is Linderbaum and Hamilton, we got that 5th-year option on them, but they both going to obviously get extensions. And
yeah,
I would, an unpopular opinion, I would be happy if they came out in this offseason and agreed to extend Henry for another year and give him more money, but get him in at a cheaper number if possible. Hey, you said you came out, maybe Derrick Henry made a mistake. Hey, you came out and you said you want to finish your career here. So let's give you an opportunity to do that. Let's add you for another year, but lower that number, which is already low. That's a historically great value contract, in my opinion, what we got with Derrick Henry.
I agree.
From a low salary standpoint and how much we got out of him.
I agree. I think the Ravens got the biggest bang for the buck of all of the teams that signed running backs last year. Saquon was great, but they paid Saquon pretty good. What Derrick Henry got paid versus what Derrick Henry gave us, I think the Ravens got the most value. So
shout out to in my Discord. Shout out to Stacy Van Diver, who's a Alabama guy and a big Derrick Henry fan. And the moment that it happened, he just flooded my Discord with messages. Hey, this is his words. This is the Lakers getting Shaq. You know, now I think his comparison was really, it's not the Heat getting Shaq when Shaq was a little bit older and less dominant, and it's not the Lakers getting Shaq when he was, I think, 27 years old or something, or maybe 26. It's kind of in between that, you know. And I was like, man, I co-signed that immediately. This is a great signing.
I agree.
So
I thought
man,
it was a fantastic signing to get him. You know, and he paid big dividends, and I think he'll be motivated after seeing, you know, how good the team was and where they got to, and thinking about the slow start. And I think that team can learn a lot from and take a lot from what
it hurt.
transpired. It definitely hurt.
It hurt. I mean, we ended up playing on the road when we could have played at home. I get it. People say, oh, well, if we have one more win, then the Bills try to win their last regular season game. Okay, cool. That's true. But we would still like to force them to make that decision.
Exactly.
We screwed up, you know, that 0-2 start hurt. We got to be in better. We got to be in better preparation mode to enter the season. We know the issues, O-line and defense, was to start the season. That was the main two issues that we had there, obviously. I think I lost you.
All right, how about now? We good?
Yeah, there you go. I think you would hit mute.
Yeah, I think I hit the button. Something. Yeah, man, I think it's gonna be an exciting couple of weeks, couple of months actually. Real quick question, before I let you go, what do you think about? There's a bunch of Ravens fans rumors going around about the Ravens potentially going after a guy like Jair Alexander. What's your thoughts on that?
And man, you know, anytime you can get someone who can just flat out blanket a particular side, you have to look into it. You have to explore it. And as I've gotten older, I've become more of that person that says, "Hey, man, I may not agree with that particular player, but I understand why fans, would say that because of the reputation of that player." Now, I don't know if he's still playing at that level or not. He's certainly very young and extremely talented. What's he got left? One more year on his deal or two?
I think one, but there's rumors that he'll be released. He's going to be released this year.
Yeah, well, I mean, if he gets released, then that's totally different. Now we're not beholden to that contract at all. I wonder, but wait a minute, this is not his rookie deal?
No, I think he got paid.
Right. Okay. So yeah, I mean, if it's a release situation, then of course I wouldn't. I mean, why would you not make that phone call to his agent and try to?
I mean, honestly, that? I think the first person he'd get a call from is Lamar Jackson.
Yeah.
Former college teammate. They were like really close. I mean, I still remember that video of Jair, like, you know, jumping up and down with excitement about Lamar getting drafted. And now they would have an opportunity to play together again.
But he got drafted before Lamar, right?
Yeah, he did. He went higher in the first round to the Packers. And
imagine you're an incredible athlete and performer like Jair Alexander, and you play on a team in college with that guy, and you watch him dominate, and you watch him play quarterback to the level that he did in college, and then you have to listen to all that stupid shit, excuse my language, about what Lamar handled so beautifully in the combine, you know, leading up to his draft. And so it makes sense for Alexander to react that way when Lamar is announced to be drafted, because he knew the reality that guy was a top 5 player, you know, in the world eventually. And he is now, you know, probably not top 4, top 1, you know. So that'd be awesome. Wow. I hadn't thought of that connection, but that's a good point.
Yeah. I mean, let's see. So Skep says he was at Louisville with Lamar. It's his second contract. He said you have to take the idea of adding Alexander seriously. I would as well. I think Jair will want to play for the Ravens because of Lamar and because the Ravens are a contender. So he get to play with one of his closest friends, former college teammate, and he also get to play for a Super Bowl. And he wouldn't have to be the best player in the secondary. Like,
oh my God, our secondary would be
it'd be
ridiculous.
You get Jair, and he still wouldn't be better than Kyle. Like, Kyle still be the best player in the secondary. But just think about Nate Wiggins, Jair Alexander on one side, and Nate Wiggins on the other side with Marlon in the slot and nickel, with Kyle and Darius and a rookie back there at safety. It'd be ridiculous.
Yeah,
Money is definitely a limiting factor. I also think with the Lamar Jackson extension and a Derrick Henry extension and a Marlon Humphrey restructure or extension,
you create some room to possibly get done.
In the Mark Andrews trade, you can get up. The Ravens can get up to about $60 million in cap space. I've done the math already. So they could, even if when they release Marcus Williams, that wouldn't give them much, but Justin Tucker would save them about $4 million as well. They could free up significant cap space if they wanted to do it.
You got the good thing about the Mark Andrews opportunity, which I'll call it opportunity, and I'd be happy with whatever happens, is I think he was at 79.2% catch percentage last year. That's a huge number. That's 80% of his targets went for catches. And it's not like, I don't mean to target a particular team or scheme, but it's not like 40 or 50% of those catches was little bubble screens like the Commanders throw all game. This is catches in the middle of the field, catches against man coverage on third down. So when the Ravens, the Ravens were to try to explore moving him, other teams are going to see the efficiency. Okay, maybe we didn't get 90 catches, but that's because of so many. There's not enough footballs to go around on this offense. There ain't enough footballs to go around because there's so much talent there. And Andrews' efficiency would be attractive to other offenses, I think.
So there's a rumor going on at the combine, and I'll be there starting tomorrow. There's a rumor going on about a Tyreek Hill trade to the Ravens. I don't like to dabble too much into rumors, but this is where you hear the most stuff going on at the combine. And from what I heard, it would be Mark Andrews going to Miami with a pick. A pick.
Have to. Yeah, have to.
Mark and picks or pick. And the Ravens will be receiving Tyreek Hill in return. What would you say to that?
Along the same line, first of all, it wouldn't be something that my brain would think of, but you can't.
That would be the Ravens move where the last thing you would even ever think about would be Tyreek Hill, and then it'd be breaking news: the Ravens have acquired Tyreek, and be like, "What the?" You know what I'm saying? Like, because the Ravens they don't do the obvious. They do whatever you wouldn't even think about would be the obvious.
You have to. Anytime you can upgrade talent, potential, or ceiling for your team, you have to, look into that. I don't know what Tyreek Hill's efficiency numbers were like this year, but just his presence on the field, even though it will be the 2025 season, it's not 2021, or it's a different Tyreek Hill. I think, even though he's still extremely dangerous and explosive. We saw him when he came last year to Baltimore. I believe he may have been dealing with some type of injury coming into that game.
Yeah.
But he didn't look like the same world beater guy. But man, you have to explore that option. Too much talent.
If you just look at the 2023 season, he almost broke I think he almost went for 2,000 yards. Remember?
Yeah.
Like he was really close to going for 2,000 if he didn't get injured. And he missed. I think he missed like 2 games and came up a little short. But like I don't think last year was more of a product of Tyreek. I think it was more a product of
injuries.
Tua missed the majority of the season. He had to play with Tyler Huntley. It just wasn't conducive to him being doing what he do. And he made the statement about wanting to he wants to go to the playoffs. He wants to play for Super Bowl. So
I'm
That
not
would
good
be
with.
dynamic.
I, I think I'm good with like old school basketball comparisons, so I don't know what it would be like.
Mhm.
It ain't like Clyde Drexler going to the Rockets because Clyde was near the end of his career. So there's got to be a better comparison there. An athlete who's still pretty close to in their prime. Right there,
Yeah,
being able to move to another team that already has two Hall of Fame offensive players. I mean, Tyreek Hill's numbers to me right now, he's right there for Hall of Fame consideration. I don't know how many more
oh, for
years he'd
sure.
have to play. You can't. I mean, three Hall of Fame caliber players on the same offense. Wow.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, you'd have to, and to me that seems like an EDC thing. Like he would just, hey man, what would you guys say? We Mark Andrews and says second round pick for Tyreek Hill, and just to check the temperature of Miami and what they would be doing. Because I think the Ravens, I think EDC looks at last year and says, if Zay Flowers doesn't get injured uh, in that Browns game, we beat Buffalo pretty easy. And when you think about what the Ravens are missing, they definitely missing another threat, like another, especially a vertical threat. Because Bateman and Zay are really good route runners, but I don't think either one of them are elite deep threats. Tyreek would be there absolutely, and then his mere presence would open up things for the entire offense.
Well, there's no other Tyreek Hill. There's no other Tyreek Hill.
No,
There's just
there's no other Tyreek Hill.
yeah,
His
there is none.
presence alone, his pre. Oh, so Skep gave it a grade. He said KD joining the Warriors. What do you think about that?
Hell yeah, that's a real good one. I had a feeling he'd come up with one. Yeah, that's a good one.
Yeah. Hoop Fiasco says that's a ceiling raising move. He said, I am of the mind that Lamar needs as many pressure relievers as possible. I agree
Yeah.
with that. When you watch Lamar in the playoffs, he gets tense because it felt like, especially in the beginning years, that he did a lot of the heavy lifting on his own. And if you're able to get guys like Derrick Henry and Tyreek Hill and Zay and Bateman and Likely, all of a sudden Lamar's like, hey man, I ain't got to do nothing. Just get these guys the ball and they're gonna make me look good. And then he doesn't feel pressure. I do like the step that he took last in the playoffs this past season in that second half. In the playoffs before, you see Lamar just go completely in the tank, man. Just kind of, you knew it was over. But Lamar came back in that second half and he was lights out. I mean, he was fighting.
Yeah, I got no concerns. I got no concerns about Lamar Jackson. None. Like I had none for the playoffs. None.
Right. So
Like I mean, are there instances where hey, you got to take better care of the football? Absolutely, and he's the first guy to say that. So, like, it doesn't really need to be said. I actually have said it many times, and some Ravens fans don't like to hear it. Your best player can't turn the football over twice in the first half of the playoffs.
No,
You just can't do it. You just can't do it. Horrible throw to Rashad Bateman. Having said that, I still have zero concerns about Lamar Jackson. I'll take him next year in a playoff game, whether it's in Baltimore, Buffalo, or Kansas City, and he's the guy that I think will win it. And other teams' fans will laugh at me for saying that. I don't care. I mean, I believed it 2019 that he's going to win a Super Bowl here, and I still do.
100%. Last couple comments here. Hoopstar says EDC won't pull that move. We like our guys is our slogan. And then Skep says, I just hope that Lamar is used as a dual threat in the playoffs, at least 2 to 3 design runs to keep teams honest. I agree.
Yeah.
They did not use him as a dual threat in the playoffs, and I think that was a mistake. And I think EDC looks at that game last year and says, if Zay Flowers plays this game, we win. If our two team captains on offense don't turn the ball over, Andrews and Lamar Jackson, we win. You just can't have that. You can't have your best players making the biggest mistakes in the biggest games in order to win. All right, Coach, this was great having you.
Thanks.
Go ahead real quick. Let everyone know where they can find you on YouTube and on Twitter, whatever. Anything you got coming up, please feel free to plug right now.
Haven't been able to put out as much content on YouTube for about a month because illness for myself and my children, not serious, but just typical. You can probably hear it in my voice, excuse me. Um, and then I run a side business as a professional tutor for students. So this time of year with SAT preparation is extremely busy. So I've produced less content, but that is just temporary. And I do run a Twitter page, and then also have a Discord that is part of my Patreon. And the Discord, credit to the 86 or 88 people that are in there, man. It took about 2 weeks for all of us to get over that loss, and then people started talking about the draft, and we're pretty hot and heavy on the draft in there. And in fact, forgive me for this, Matt, for being long-winded, but I'm good at
No, you
that.
good. You good.
As someone in the Discord, actually multiple people have helped me create a draft document. It's the one I sent to you, Matt.
Okay.
This essentially acts as a housing, a place to house film. I don't know if you're able to show it. If you want to, if not, it's no problem.
Yeah,
And it allows people to click on the player link and then see the film with some short descriptions on it. It's something that I intend to put out on social media for the larger Ravens fan base at some point. Not because it's not completed. So Matt's displaying it here. Thank you for that. My goal is to have every player there evaluated with a would you mind maybe like Armand Membal, just mouse over him and go to the description, not the folder link, but the description.
Which one? The link that you sent me, or just
now there you go. Where the one it can be any player that's got a little black triangle. Michael Williams, I don't have a description done.
Okay.
Like Membal, Sabanea, Jalen Walker, and there you go, there.
There you go.
So if you take the mouse over just to it's kind of hard to get there. It's my apologies. I got to think of a better format for that. You can kind of see the description pop up. Yeah, if you just move the mouse over to like just the description part. There you go. Perfect. It should get rid of the. Oh no, it didn't get rid of it, huh? Well, I got to figure a better way out to do that. But it just allows people to see a short scouting report by myself, and then click the link to see the film, which I would rather have you not do here. And that'll allow people to see some of the film, see some of the reasons why I gave a particular evaluation. And shout out to Jen in my Discord and Jake, he knows who he is, and a couple other people who have helped me try to create this document that could potentially give other Ravens fans who don't want to sit and watch the film a little bit of an opportunity to do that. And any feedback towards this product will be appreciated by anyone. Obviously, I got a lot of work to do. And at this point, probably put about 35 or 40 hours in so far.
Yeah, awesome, man. This is great. Skep says coaches Patreon is great. I agree with you, Skep. It is great, man. And I think I speak on behalf of everybody in the flock, man, that we appreciate all of your content and your efforts, and the things that you give us, and
cool thing is there's so many.
Educating everyone, man. Educating people on things from a coach's point of view, and I think that's awesome what you do.
It's the cool thing is for Ravens fans, there's so many good content creators. I'm just glad to be one of them. You know what I mean? There's so much content Ravens fans to be able to watch pretty much every day or night, as needed. So I'm just thankful to be one of them.
Absolutely. Not only are you one, man, I think you're one of the best. And again, thank you for your contributions. Thank you for what you do. And again, thank you for coming and joining the show, man. We must do this again very soon for the draft. And if you would like me to come on your show, I'll be more than happy. I think we should, and I think everyone would agree, we should do an all 22 show special where we just pick a couple of players and we just break down the film together. I respect your insight on players, and I know you do the same with me. And thanks again. And again, man, if you're not following Coach all 22, you're missing out, man. Make sure you give him a follow. Go check out his YouTube content. It's amazing. Go get the Patreon. It's awesome, man. So thank you, Coach. I
Thanks, man.
appreciate you. And until next time, man, I'll see you around in spaces because you know that's where we'll be. Thanks again. All right.